Boom! It is Friday evening. I hope everyone is enjoying. Well, if you're in Quebec, I don't know how it is where everyone else is, but right, it's been like raining like crazy, which is how it gets down in June, and it's unfortunate. But you know what is fortunate? We're here together and we're doing a podcast. Very special guest this evening. I am going to get this one going, and mate, I'm excited. What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 72 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast, Adjunct Series, Quarantine Edition. This evening, I'm just going to bring this gentleman right on. If you watch or listen to us, you know him. You're a fan of him. You follow him on Instagram. This is Nathan from NathanDoesBeer and the BAOS blog. There it is.
Hey, come on.
Oh, mate, they were just loving it. They were going nuts, man. Great to see your gorgeous face, bro.
It's good to see you too, my friend. How are you doing?
Man, I'm great. How are you?
Not bad. It's Friday night.
I love it. Long weeks as always, but we out here. It's just us this evening.
We're here.
We promised the world an Ottawa trifecta. Then the universe got in the way, and it didn't work out. But it's okay, because we're still going to deliver this evening.
Indeed.
And we never get to do this.
Yeah,
Go on, man.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've just got to hang one-on-one for a pod. So it's okay. Shit happens, but we're making the most of it. So this will be good.
I love these ones. Like, I love the interviews as well. But when we get to kind of like just hang and just yap with no distractions, no pressures. I mean, it's not like it's pressure, but I always look at it as it's like there is a little bit of pressure because I got to, keep the flow going when it's an interview and stuff. And when it's just me and you shooting the shit, like it's cool, man. And we've picked some great beers that we're all lining up. 3 of the 4 beers we happen to have the same ones. So
yeah, that worked out real nice,
didn't it? Because we were like, it doesn't even matter, but like, let's just see what we got, and then it just happened to work out. Before I yap too much, I wanted to bring Nate in this evening for our sponsor. Working with, once again, this evening is sponsored by Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff. Bloody legends out there in Massachusetts. Each week I have been focusing on different products. They are a beard product. What do you call them? They make stuff for people with beards. That's what they do. They do beard oil, beard balm, and this is a face sanitizer as well. I connected with these guys from my good friend Giles out in Vermont, who knows bloody everybody. And he's working with these guys. He connected us. I really got along with Dr. Nick. I don't think he's a real doctor, but let's just say he is. And they got a real craft beer ethos. So he was telling me, he featured on the podcast, I think in early April, and he was saying that everything from the bottles to the contents are made in the States. The actual oils are essential oils and not the cheap fragrance oils, because apparently a lot of beard oils and things like that are made cheaper, and they have these fragrance oils that give you they irritate your skin and chafe it up and stuff. But these are essential oils blessed by a Reiki master from Hawaii. And they have, these 2 sanitizers, I'll talk about those in a sec, but they got key lime and blood orange. So the actual essential oils are made from limes and oranges. In some of the others, there's pine and different citrus and coffee and vanilla and hops. And they actually, I guess they just soak it in oil to extract
Sounds like
flavor.
delicious beer ingredients right there.
It is. They actually have, wonderful you mentioned that. They have a thing called beard beer, which I've talked about before, an IPA and a stout one. But they're also about to do a Brewmaster series where they're collaborating with brewmasters from the ones that they locked in were Lawson's, Trillium, Treehouse, and Vitamin C. So big breweries. And they're going to recreate some of their main flagships, I imagine, in beard oil form, which is pretty dope. So you can not only drink, say, green from Treehouse, but you can smell like it too, which I love. These ones, have you heard of a beard sanitizer before? Have you ever heard of anything like this?
I've not heard of a beard sanitizer before. I've used beard oils before, and I've heard of beard balm, but beard sanitizer, that's a new one on me.
Right, and same for me as well. So basically, he said the point of it is you have citrus because it gives you the citrus. Apparently, it has an awakening, kind of brightening effect on the body. And he said the idea was, the example he gave, so say you're out running errands and well, probably not so much here in Montreal, but he's like, you get back in your car, I don't need a car, but you'd get back in, you've got your mask on. He said, you just kind of spray your face with this stuff, even on top of the mask, because it is essentially a sanitizer. Oh, Nate just disappeared there. That's unfortunate. I'm sure he will call right back. And the idea is that it sanitizes the beard as well as your face. And he said as well, you can spray it again on the beard. And when you actually rub it into your beard, it sanitizes your hands and your beard/face at the same time. So this stuff is pretty dope. I have been using it since January. We started working with them in April. We're not, as you probably know, we don't do a lot of sponsor work over here. But, when we connect with a brand and it all, seems to just click, we move forward, we run with it. So, of course, here's Nate. We're going to bring him on back. We good?
Ooh, and we're back. Sorry about that.
Nah, man. Shit happens. It's tech. We out here. Don't even sweat it. I was just really just talking about the rest of it, how to use the stuff. Basically, you spray it on your face and beard once you've been out and about. It's some great stuff. Now, of course, if you guys are interested in trying it, we have a code. It is BAOS21, like for 2021. BAOS21, and it's Dr. Nick's, DOCTORNICKS. All the links are in the description. You get 15% off your order. All of these for like fully American made and all local high quality products is about usually, I don't know, between 20 and 25 bucks a pop. If you spend $40, which really is just 2 items, you get free shipping in North America as well, plus the 15% off. So huge win. Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff. Thank you again for sponsoring the pod. Now, Nate, it is time to crush some beers. What are we starting with?
It's about time.
Right? We're both starting with something different. So I am starting with Old Flame's No Regrets Premium Super Light Lager at 2.9%. What do you got there?
I am starting with Celebrating Sisters from Orleans Brewing Company here in Ottawa.
Okay. Now, you were telling me this one has a pretty cool story behind it.
It does, yes. So, Celebrating Sisters is a collaborative project, not unlike a couple of collaborative projects that have come out over the last 2 years, like Altogether and Black is Beautiful. This was an initiative started by the Indigenous Brew Crew,
Okay.
which is a group of Indigenous brewers in Ontario. One of whom is actually the head brewer at Orleans Brewing Company. His name is Eric.
Okay.
And also, so it was the Indigenous Brew Crew and Do Better, Be Better, which of course is our friend Ren's nonprofit.
Hey. I didn't realize she was part of that. That's cool.
Yeah, she is. So yeah, it's called Celebrating Sisters, and the idea is to raise funds for missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, which is which is a pretty big and kind of and kind of not nearly as well known problem of Canadian history, and I mean not even really history. It's it's a present day issue as well. So it's raising awareness and funds for that. This one in particular was a huge collaborative effort, not just not just in the project itself, but the recipe was done in collaboration with Dominion City and Kitchissippi, and also with products that were donated from Brew Culture and Lalaland, as well. This gorgeous artwork here on the label was done by an Indigenous artist named Chief Ladybird. Look at that! Isn't that gorgeous?
What I can't really tell because it's a little dark. Is that like a sky, or is that like a what's the?
So it's a bird.
It's a bird.
I'm not going to guess what kind of bird it is. I don't know that the actual history of the of the label, but I believe they talk about it on the on the Indigenous Brew Crew website about how that piece of artwork came to be.
Love it.
So this was done by a number of breweries in Ontario. Like I know, like Rorschach did one. I know
Of course.
Catalyst like did one as well. There were a few others. I think there was about 30 breweries in total in Ontario that took
Okay.
part in this. And with this one, the funds go to a charity called Families of Sisters in Spirit. So it's a really important project. That the Indigenous Brew Crew did quite a lot of work on, and yeah, it's particularly with all of the findings that are that have come to light, which has really forced the country to open its eyes and become aware of the realities of residential schools and what and how and what that has been in Canada and kind of how we've all been very blind to it and the effects that it has had on Indigenous communities. It's a very important project and a very timely one.
Yeah, man. Well said. Cheers to that, bro. Get that in there. What style is that, by the way?
I'm doing my best. It's something that I, like many Canadians, unfortunately don't know enough about, and it's really the things that have come to light recently have opened my eyes a lot. I'm not going to attempt to do it justice because I don't know enough about it. It's something that I really need to continue to keep learning more about. But in the meantime, this is an important project to support. So I would encourage you to check out the Indigenous Brew Crew and and all of the information that they have. And if there's a brewery near you that's doing this project, definitely go out and support it.
Beauty.
So their version of this is a bock. It's a red beer.
Okay.
All of the ones that the other breweries have done are all red beers as well, of different styles, because it was initially called the Red Beer Project. But it's definitely allowed for some flexibility and creativity from everyone who participated. But this one's a bock, so that's what we've got here tonight.
Here for it, mate. Well, pleasure hanging out. Get it in ya.
Cheers, brother.
It's good. Talk us through the tasty notes on yours, then I'll just talk about what I've got real quick.
Yeah, we'll do. So this one here is no slouch. Like I said, it's 7%.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it's pretty strong. Yeah, it's a bock. It's got a very malty nose. And as you can see, it's quite a deep amber in color. So much more of a bit of a roasty vibe, and you get dried fruits coming off like raisins and dates and a bit of caramel maple sweetness kind of thing going on. Like you can tell that this is one that's got some heft and depth to it.
And a bock in and of itself, I remember talking to someone, maybe it was with the guys on the chat, but a bock is is some form of a lager from memory. Is that correct? It's like in the lager family.
It is.
Okay. And
it is, yes.
Can you without going super deep, can you define it? Because I feel like it's been forever since I've had a bock of any
not really well enough. I don't want to try to fudge my way through it. If our friend Chris from Hops and Bros was here, he'd be able to describe it a lot better than I could. I don't it's not a style that I'm super well versed in, so I don't want to try to fudge my way through it, as I said. But yeah, it's. And of course, bocks have a number of different styles within them as well. So it's definitely a wide range. This one in particular, the palate delivers very much what what was teased on the nose. So lots of dark dark dried fruits. Cherries, and raisins, as I was saying, almost kind of got like a fruitcake vibe going on to it, because it's also got a pretty rich malt profile to it. So so that contributes to that as well. A decent bit of sweetness, but but it's not cloying by any means because it's not very thick in body. Yeah, it's a super super flavorful beer. It would be not one to take too strong because it's stronger than it tastes. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the
It's
box
really good.
didn't fuck around.
Yeah, it's really good though. What they did with what they did with this recipe and the execution, it's spot on.
That's great, man. Good on them. I'm happy. I love hearing that these things exist and they're able to do some great positive projects to contribute and give back and increase awareness, education, inclusion, diversity, all of those things, and beers like that, do their job. I love it. It's beautiful, man. Great
Absolutely.
choice, man. Really good choice.
So how about yours?
Yes. So I had them on recently, and you also did the podcast companion. Old Flame are a crispy brewery, essentially, almost exclusively, out of Port Perry, Ontario. And this is called No Regrets. It's a 2.9% lager. I've had just like you, had a bunch of their stuff and been incredibly impressed with what I'm seeing and what I'm tasting. This for 2.9%, like it looks like one of those, how a lot of breweries are doing like those, like the only way I can think to describe it is like faux macro, where like they're using rice and corn and all the adjuncts to try and replicate a craft version of a super light American lager. This is like that, but taken to another extreme because it's only 2.9%. So it's like the nose doesn't smell too light. I'm not sure if, to be honest, does it say corn and stuff in here? No, they're not saying corn. So just water, barley, hops, and yeast. So, yeah, like the amount of flavor. So
just a really light, straight up lager.
Yeah, like super light. This is one of the things I can picture you, like you could sit on this all day by a pool, park, something like that, and you probably wouldn't feel too much. You'd be pretty sweet, but amount of flavor. I'm mostly impressed with the flavor. Like this is really impressive for this.
How is it? How is it in body? Like, is it is it very very light?
Light body, really sharp carb. I feel like because we're sitting inside a room and I'm really like analyzing it in a glass, and I feel like it's more when you're out there by the pool or somewhere outside, you just kind of like knocking them back. It'll do the trick a little more. Obviously, we're about to drink some more you already got higher octane stuff, but we're about to move into stuff after tonight. So even on that another sip there, it's tasting pretty light. But once again, at 2.9% for a style like this, where you got to really keep the malt profile low in order to keep that ABV down, they've done a pretty great job, man. Like, it's got a little bit of dryness, a touch. I'm not getting too much like of the grassiness. I feel like they didn't overly hop it or anything. Nice and sharp. Like, I like it. I wouldn't drink. I'm not like the dude. I don't like sitting on beers all day. Like, I'm not that dude, and I imagine you're not either. I understand the idea of it. It's just not really how we tend to drink, I would imagine. But I can see this being a thing if you're that kind of person and you're just like, just give me this beer. I don't want to think about it. Like a lot of craft beer nerds are a little too, I don't know, into our shit where we have to like think about what we're doing and take photos and blah, blah, blah. There's not many times where I just crack a beer and don't think about it. I imagine it's probably similar for you.
Yeah. You know who does like beers like that though is brewers.
Yes, they do. Just something that you can finish your shit and just fucking crack it and don't even think about it. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely a brewer. That's a great particularly like at summer when you're working in a brew. It's 40 degrees outside. You're working in this brew house. It's probably 50 degrees in there, maybe hotter. I can probably exaggerate it, but you get the point. Like it's
and you're doing a bunch of physical labor the whole time. Like you want like a light crispy crusher like that.
Oh yeah, it's a beaut. Yeah, man. It's definitely like I've had it there for a bit. I've been meaning to get to it, and I thought this is a good way just to try something different from them and show it off. I'm a huge fan. I know you've been a big fan from what you've had as well. Great people.
Yeah.
And they're all lovely, the team, and they're really passionate too, and they take their stuff really, really serious. And I appreciate them a lot. So any love I can give them here, I'm here for, you know. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely clear that that they take what they do very seriously. I mean, that craft lager the like mix pack that they've got with with their core lineup, it's just great.
yeah,
And I love that like it include like the Vienna lager was far and away the best in my opinion. Um, and to have that in your in your core lineup, it is just great.
yeah, man. And just that mixer pack in and of itself with the Helles, the Vienna, the Dunkel, like a Munich Dunkel, and the Black Lager, it's like a
Yeah,
fantastic mix of stuff. Something for all the flavor profiles, and you know, if you, obviously, I imagine you drank it sort of through the flavor wheel, and it's just like they were all really well executed, nicely balanced. Having them all back to back was really cool because you could really start to taste those nuances between, like when your palate isn't sort of being ruined by other things, and just starting from that light Helles and then moving through. It was just really impressive. And I feel like, I don't know if I told you this, but I knew of them before, and I might have bought one of their beers from the LCBO back in the day. But when I'm, asking my little engagement questions on Instagram, like, what's your favorite crispy boy and all that bullshit, a lot of people, like a significant volume of people, responded with Old Flame. And I think
yeah,
I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. Like, I have to try it. But luckily, like, Kira reached out and sent me a bunch of stuff. And then I was like, wow, this shit is great. You guys want to be on the podcast? So that worked out pretty well.
there
And
you go.
I thought it was worth it. I was so impressed with the beer. I was like, I mentioned to, and because they were taking it so seriously, they were having team meetings about the podcast and really making sure they were like, they had all their info down. I just loved how serious they all took it and how prepared they were. And that's why I offered them the podcast companion. So if people don't know, I guess for the last 2, 3, 4 months, something like that, Nate has been
Yeah.
writing so whenever we drink on the podcast, I'll interview a brewery. Nate will review those same beers in depth in writing for the BAOS blog, and also take some great original photography as well. So it's been like a nice thing. We drop the podcast, and then maybe 3, 4 weeks later, you drop the podcast companion, and it brings it back up. And maybe people who missed it the first time get to see it. Maybe they'll read the beers like, wow, these sound amazing. Oh, they're talking about it with the owners. That's cool. And going in and checking out the podcast from there. I think it's just like a cool package of content for to make sure everyone gets to see as many of the episodes. I feel like we talked to some pretty cool people, man, and I know we put out a lot of content, so maybe sometimes people miss some stuff. So I feel like this is a good way to remind them. You did a great job, man. I'm glad you felt more than anything.
Thanks.
I'm glad you felt the same way because I was super impressed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, it was good.
Yeah, really solid shit. So we spent like 22 minutes doing a product read and introducing our beers. Look, because we're just hanging the fuck out. I love this. We got a bunch of topics we're going to talk about tonight. We picked a bunch of things. Obviously, we're just going to kind of shoot the shit and see where it goes as well. But we got a few things we want to make sure we touch on. And the great thing, just to come back, to what we were saying earlier, like I don't do this very often. It's been a really busy year. People have, for whatever reason, a lot of breweries have wanted to be on. I guess I might as well say this now. After next week, we're going to stop. The last podcast is the Thursday. Then we're going to stop the lives for the rest of the summer. We feel like things are open. People are out and about. The quarantine edition was intended to be something for people to do on those Friday and sometimes Thursday nights when ain't shit open. It's cold. There's nowhere to go. You've got your beers at home. You can just sit back and watch this stuff live. So Tiff and I are going to produce a series over the summer. So I'll probably take a couple of weeks just off because Nate, but like, and I'm not complaining, but doing like these often 2 lives a week. I have another podcast that's live on Mondays, and then obviously if anyone follows us on Instagram, we do a Instagram live every other Tuesday with Nate, Noah from Beerism, and Chris from Hops and Bros, called the Chin Wag. So sometimes I'm live 4 times a week, and it's a lot, and it takes.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's fun.
That's more than half your week.
Yeah, man, and it's cool, but it's like it makes you have to be on time for stuff. You got to like, if maybe you're just running late that day, you go, oh fuck, now I got to shove food down my face and make sure I have a foundation because we're about to drink for 2 hours or so, and blah blah blah. So it's been a it's been really fun doing it, but I need a break personally. I'm even told, like my brother and Dan, who people might know as well, are my co-host on the other podcast. I'm like, boys, can we take a couple of weeks off just so I can match it with BAOS? Because need to breathe, man. So I'm looking forward to the summer break, and when we come back to doing so. The Adjunct series is going to be forever. It's just my way to do random shit that I feel like I might just be like, we've got no series. I'm going to do random stuff and be like, yo, Nate, let's jump on. Or breweries will reach out and I'll interview breweries, but I would definitely want to do more of these type of things. I think they're fun, and I think people want to see them. And I don't know if I'm going to do them live, I guess. I think we'll just pre-record them. Unless people are like, no, please do lives. I think we'll just pre-record them without having to sort of worry about super strict time and all that stuff, but they'll basically be the same shit, and I'll just upload the audio and the video on the same day. So that was just some housekeeping for folks. I was speaking of Dan. There he is. He's like, you work hard, you deserve a break. Thanks, bro, and thanks for being. See, Dan was down. He was like, I get it, we'll take a couple of weeks off. So he's a champion. So with that in mind, what I was going to say was we don't really get to just like yap and talk. There's a bunch of topics and shit that's happening in beer that we don't really get to talk about on the podcast because it's all interviews, and obviously we're focusing on that brewery. So we got some cool things that just, well, I don't know if cool is really the word. We have some stuff that we're going to discuss, and I can't find where's the fucking note for this one. Where is the note, Nathaniel? I don't see it here.
I don't know where your note is.
Didn't we have a shared note? Oh, it was in a text. My fault.
Yeah, it was just in a text.
Yeah,
and it wasn't very long. It was just our topic list.
Yeah, there it is. I found it now. I'm sorry, I thought I had a note. I am going off my head, Nate. It's wild. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that's a little more serious, and something that probably went down. When did it all start? Like a month ago, maybe longer.
Yeah, about that.
You want to kick it off and explain it all?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, if you paid attention to any corner of beer social media, you no doubt know about what's been going on. Like a month or so ago, stories started getting shared, and it was primarily being shared from one account. It's a woman named Brienne, who's the brewer at Notch Brewing in somewhere in Massachusetts. I can't remember the city, but it's Notch Brewing, and what she was sharing stories that other women in the brewing industry had shared with her stories about harassment, about sexist treatment, like anything ranging from sexist comments to to harassment, to aggression, to physical abuse, and going on and on, and getting worse from there. It's they are distressing stories to read, and it kind of really exploded, because as soon as more people were sharing, more and people started sharing their stories with her, and she kept on sharing, and it kind of blew up to the point that it sparked a long overdue reckoning on sexism and harassment and abuse that happens that is just rampant in all areas of the beer industry.
Yeah, it was bad, man. And there's a lot of big names. There was probably hundreds and hundreds of stories, and a lot of big names were implicated. A lot of them ended up. Some people left, so some of the ones, the larger ones, were, I think she, actually, even just before I get to that, I think she started sharing her story. Something happened and set her off, and she shared her story. So I think she was, I forgot, I read an article that she had given an interview with somebody from like Good Beer Hunting or something, I think. And something had happened from memory. Apologies for not remembering exactly, but she was... an incident happened. She was like, all right, fuck, I'm going to tell my story. And I think she had multiple stories. So she told her story, and then that got her inundated with other women in the industry who'd been messaging her, and she was screenshotting them, scribbling out their name and keeping it private, and then reposting them to the point where her stories were like little pin dots type of thing, like ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it was insane how many there were.
It was
Oh,
really
and
nice.
I didn't even mention her like her Instagram. That was silly of me. Like at Rat Magnet is is her Instagram. That's the what that's it's been the starting point of all of this.
And I hope for her, on a side note, when I first saw her, I think she had 2,000 or 3,000 followers, and now she's over 60K. So she really garnered a lot of attention in a very short amount of time, and I hope for her sake that she's able to. And they started a new page, but I think it was I keep forgetting. It started with E, and it was something basically a place where that account is telling the stories now instead of her doing it, moving it from her personal account. So I hope she's able to do some good with it and use this new elevated platform that she has to create something and hopefully bring in and force some change in craft beer across the world, not just in the States. So there were some really big ones and super disappointing ones, to be honest. I think every beer, I think there's two sides of it. There's because if you know the people behind them, you're like, oh, I did it, and you were surprised. That's the disappointing. But on the other side, it was just breweries that you were passionate about, that you'd visited, that you'd spent money on, and that you had loved, and now all you've got their fucking T-shirt or something, and now you're like, God damn it, do I even wear it? Yeah, Bruce Morris, shouts to Bruce, is in the building. He's like, thanks for bringing this to my attention, Nate. This is Rat Magnet, Bruce, if you want to check her stuff out, definitely worth it. And some of the ones that that made some changes immediately were Tired Hands, unfortunately, in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. I have their T-shirt. I went there a couple of years ago. I loved it. The beers are exceptional. But apparently the dude's name's Jean or Gene. I'm not sure. I think people call him Gene. But apparently he's a known prick, abuser, whatever. I believe he stepped down. The owner or founder of Modern Times in California, San Diego, same deal. They stepped down. One of the most unfortunate ones as well, which sort of was a little vague, was Sean Hill of Hilton Farmstead. He apparently had done some shit. He kind of denied it, and then I think they kind of just went to business as usual, which was the weirdest one. But Tired Hands and Modern Times were both had these long things that they posted from the company, from the staff, because you got to really think a lot of the people who were doing this
from the staff,
Well, exactly. The staff were writing, but the people who were implicated were typically in a position of power, right? So these were people who had power over, employees. So they were often either managers or owners or anything. What do you need? Okay. And these people were not, so the staff were just so unfairly treated, and they weren't. If you think about that, like this, you're like, fuck, I work for this brewery, I love my job, and all of a sudden the owner's outed as an actual abuser. Like how, that's terrible for the staff. They're like, oh, am I going to lose my job? I just went through a pandemic where everything was closed for so long. And it's pretty, it's pretty upsetting. So a lot of these messages on the social media accounts of the breweries came from the staff, and they had, it seemed like immediately implemented training programs, things for allowing people to speak up, all these different things. And the one that happened over the last 2 days, which I'm super upset about because we had them on the podcast, was O'Connor Brewing in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. We had Kevin O'Connor, and he's on the podcast. He was lovely to us. He treated us like fucking kings and queens, and he was implicated himself personally as one of the offenders of this, which I'm extraordinarily disappointed to hear. You never know, man. You never know if people are. It's very different. You get one side of them, particularly people like us, and you go to a brewery and everyone's always going to be nice to you, but it's very different when you're working for them.
Yeah. And it's really it's really upsetting. And it's one of those things that as men in the industry, it's something that is all too easy to overlook or to assume that it's men are too quick to assume that like these are like that these are isolated incidents that like that these stories are like are really bad, like are really bad one-offs, or like it's like one bad person. But like what I think what I think has happened in the past like in the past month or so has really opened our eyes to is the fact that this is happening everywhere in all like in all corners of the brewing world.
Yeah.
That like the type of shit that women are dealing with um, is like and from their employers, it's sickening. Um, and like you say, this is very often happening like in the like in the more serious cases from people in power, and it's an important reminder that that like you need to believe women when they like when they tell these stories. There is nothing for them to gain by like by telling these stories, because all you need to do is like, and this is an extra sickening part, is when you see like stuff like this come out, is watching like it's just a matter of time every single time when you watch the comments roll in of like of men saying like why does everything have to like have to be about blank, like just stick to beer. If they make like if they
Yeah.
make good beer, like that's all I care about. Like that shit is everywhere in this. It's that like
It's a
and
plague. It's disgusting.
they get nothing, they get nothing but abuse when like when they share stories like this. So
Mm.
it's an important reminder to like if a woman is going to be brave enough to share such a deeply upsetting and traumatic story like that, it has to be an eye opening, and this reckoning that the industry is facing, just like the reckoning that it faced last year, is long overdue. And it's just a reminder of how far we have to go.
Mm.
And there's been a number of things that have kind of spawned out from this, like Jake Clark,
Yes.
girl named Jake on like on all her social channels, shared a bunch of really really great resources of how breweries can of how breweries can implement meaningful policies to make safe workspaces for women, and not even just for women, but all, like for like for people of color, like for people of the LGBTQ community, like everything like that. Sharing a bunch of really really great, really helpful resources for breweries, and all that. And of course she's getting hate on like in response to that too,
Is
from
she?
like from asshole men. Like she shared like in her stories, like some really really aggressive prick who was responding back with some with some really really hateful and threatening like stuff. So it's it's deeply deeply disturbing. And it just goes to show you that like it's so not like not an open and inclusive space, and
No.
it's very often not a safe space for women.
I could even take it as far as hospitality, period. I've worked in a number of restaurants and bars
Yeah.
in my early days in Toronto specifically. And I'm not like a hospitality dude. Like, I'm not like, some people are like career hospitality folk. But like my experience in those industries, like you get treated like fucking dirt. It's really, really crazy to me how gross people are treated. So then if you add any other minority factor to it, such as ethnicity or gender, or even sexual orientation, I can imagine. I can only imagine how that is if I'm a straight white male and I felt like shit in that industry. So imagine even beer, it's a
Yeah.
smaller, probably almost less regulated, because restaurants are a little more like looked on, I think, and I feel like in the brewery industry, that type of stuff is a little, it's such a blokey place, at least the restaurants are pretty even from as far as a gender at the very least, whereas breweries just typically mostly dudes.
Well, I mean, it's a little more even, but like look at what the more likely percentage of roles are, though.
It's true.
Like in most restaurants, the same way in beer, like women are are
Front of
more
house.
often than not like disproportionately going to be that like people who are serving tables or or behind the bar, and and the amount of shit that they have to put up with from from aggressive men or like men that that are just jokingly catcalling or unwelcome flirting or saying being outright aggressive and threatening and and all that, it happens constantly.
It's yeah, man, and even you get the visuals when you read these stories, and you get the visuals, and some of these were really well presented, and you just like shudder. It's disgusting, like really what people are going through, what women are going through with this shit. So it's really sad that the beer industry had to be like this. It's not exactly not expected. I kind of wouldn't expect anything less. None of it was surprising. I was more disappointed to hear that, the breweries that we particularly loved, or some breweries that we particularly loved, were involved in this type of behavior. And like you said, even more disappointing was the response from these fuckwits on Jake's posts and so on and so forth, and even like the ones in the groups that you mentioned earlier, where people are like, "Come on, man, it's just about beer. I'm here for beer, not politics or whatever." I'm like, whilst I understand where they're coming from, like this is human. This is human shit, and you can't deny human shit, because if these terrible things are happening to fellow human beings, then how the fuck can you just sit there and talk about beer when you know that all of these things are happening?
Yeah, it's always the same thing, right? The only people who would say I'm just here for the beer are it's always going to be straight white dudes. It's going to
Every
be
time.
it's going to be the ones who are who are never impacted by these kinds of things. So
Yes.
it's the same old shit every single time.
Every time. It
Um,
doesn't change.
every time. Yeah,
Just
there were conversations in that one in that one big Facebook group that we all that we all know about, where when people were trying to have meaningful conversations and and whatnot, you saw complaints of some things getting shut down by admins, and and things saying that come on, we're it's just here for the beer and all that. If there's one thing to take away from any of that from any of these things, is that it should never be just about beer. This is these are real human issues, and it's none of it is none of it should be overtaken by being just about beer.
facts. Exactly. It's
um
yeah, yeah. Go.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Please, I was just going to riff off what you were saying, but keep it moving.
Oh, I was going to say I wanted to call out a good initiative that happened. I think it was even just yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. Um, but there was an initiative that was started by Together We're Bitter, which is a brewing co-op out in out in KW. They arranged for bystander intervention training with a woman named Julie Lalonde, who does who does this kind of training. Like she's given similar similar workshops at at the Royal Military College, which she has talked about on Twitter, getting getting lots of really hateful, abusive responses to to that, but which of course should not be surprising,
Right.
and in a number of other places as well. So Together We're Bitter arranged for her to deliver a workshop, and they invited breweries across Ontario to join in to join in on that workshop to to receive this this training that that she was going to deliver. And over 50 breweries in the province joined in for it, which was which is a really good thing to see. It's a good thing see them signing on for like acknowledging the issues in the industry and working to to really make it better.
Yeah, man. I saw that today as well, and like obviously Dominion usually ahead of the game with the type of stuff, so it wasn't surprising to see them doing something great like this. So, I mean, this usually out of these terrible things come something a little more positive. Hopefully, it's lasting change. I know that we've seen with the diversity and inclusion stuff, it's a slow roll. I imagine this will be a slow uphill battle that people just need to be consistently pushing, and it sort of feels like both the D&I and this stuff need to be kind of packaged together and just pushed across the board for just for equality. I don't know, who the fuck wants to keep living in a world where people aren't equal? It's ridiculous. It's archaic. It's insane in this day and age.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, and it's one of those things of like, even on that, it's one of those things of women who work in the in the industry, even if hopefully they haven't experienced like really traumatic harassment and or anything worse than that. But even I don't think there's a single woman in the industry who hasn't experienced some form of mocking or questioning of their of their credentials or their abilities to or their abilities, or like, do you even drink beer, or or can you even lift that keg, or whatever, or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, exactly. Or all of the women brewers and brewery owners that we know will post constantly about getting questions of like asking to speak to their husband, assuming that he's the one who runs the show, and all of that shit. Like, read the posts from people like Aaron Broadfoot at Little Beasts, or Mandy Murphy at Left Field, or Mary Beth Keefe at the Granite, like all of these women brewers and and brewery owners, they experience this at every single stage of the industry, and so does every single woman who's worked in any level in a brewery, whether they're front of house, whether they're brewing, whether it's social media, whatever part of the industry they work in.
That's it. It's never-ending story, which is like, that really kind of sums up where it's all at, right? Like, these stories there shouldn't be this many. So I mean, I guess I'm glad. It's great that Brienne brought this to the public attention in such a unintentional, organic way. It's not like she had this platform beforehand. So I love to see that.
And I'm sure she didn't want to be doing this.
No, I can imagine it took over her life, and it probably took a significant toll on her mental health in that time as well. Like, it could not, and just weighing on her shoulders, it'd just be heavy to know that she'd dealt with it, and that now maybe people weren't ready for this, and she obviously didn't expect this level of attention given to it. But it seems like she's riding with it, doing her thing, and it's all positive. So with that, I know you haven't quite finished because I did pick a shorty. Are you cool to move on to the next one? BAOS, sorry.
Yep, I'm ready to move on. Let's do it.
Love it. Do you mind grabbing the next beer? It's Chronicle. It's down the bottom, and it's like a pretty... What color is the can? Purple? You go grab yours. I'll keep the people entertained.
Yeah, I think it's mostly black.
Mostly black?
I'll go grab mine. Be right back.
No worries. That's it, I think. Chronicle, and there's something about a monster or some shit. Thank you very much. The Flatwoods Monster. That's cool. Looks like sort of indigenous art kind of playing on the last thing. So we had Chronicle on the podcast like last week or the week before, I think. We didn't actually get to drink this one, but Nate happened to get a can. So I was happy to know that he had it, which is very, very cool. How did you get this beer, by the way?
This was a lucky find at Friends of the Dominion.
Love it. Yeah, I'm excited to have this. I was just saying, we had him on the podcast a week or two ago. Such great dudes, super cool. All their beers, I'm so impressed with Chronicle, man. Like, and this art, doesn't this look like indigenous art almost as well?
I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have said that, but
It looks like the Australian Indigenous art a little bit with a lot of the lions and the
oh, I
buffalo
see.
stuff.
Okay.
That I apologize because that's when I think of Indigenous. That's what I think of immediately, and it reminds me of that. But yeah, these guys are like haze lords. Their sours are fire. Oof. They're
Um,
they just don't fuck around.
I, uh, I love their labels. Like it's very clear right from the start that they're definitely video game nerds and I think like horror movie nerds and stuff like that as well. And it's very apparent in their labels.
They mentioned that they are like the Dungeons and Dragons kind of dudes,
Yeah,
like
that
that
you know
type of
what that
thing.
tracks.
Yeah. So I was like, okay,
Well,
I didn't get it.
see, well, you know what? I feel like these guys are my type.
Yeah,
Like you're talking to someone who played Magic the Gathering in high school. So
I've heard of that. Was that like a card game thing?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of their labels were inspired by those type of games. And I remember, I wasn't sure if I was thinking of them. They were a little vague about it intentionally, and fair enough. I was like, aren't you guys, didn't you guys do a lot of labels that are basically a cease and desist waiting to happen? And they were like, maybe it kind of was, type of thing.
They kind of like don't say that too loudly, kind of
Yeah, they're
thing.
like, shh. But I guess because all of their stuff, they don't have anything in distro, so I can. Usually those are the breweries who roll the dice a little more with the cease and desist type of stuff.
Yep.
Have you had Chronicle before this beer though?
This is my first Chronicle beer, believe it or not.
Okay, let's see because there's no info on the can at all. I want to see if there's anything on something that you're not a fan of, Untapped. I just saw people talking mad
Yeah.
shit about Untapped on Facebook before. Oh,
I saw that. I saw that as well. I won't. I won't say his name. He probably doesn't want us to out him on here. But I did say but I
yeah.
did see someone we both know saying something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, he wasn't happy about it. I felt like he didn't really have reasoning except that it's just like poisonous shit. I'm like, yeah, but I do get it. It's just not everyone is poison on there. I just like I don't do shit. I just go in there, check in, try to get see. I needed to know what hops are in it, and it's on Untapped. It's got Mosaic and Eldorado.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt that it can be a good resource. You know what? We probably shouldn't go too in the weeds on that. It's a conversation we've had before.
We have go check our video on it. I forgot it's on the channel. Where like you said, a bad thing on it. And with that said, Nathaniel, can we get
Yeah,
Guinness?
I think it was a let's argue or something like that.
It
Yeah, let's
was.
do it.
Get in, yeah. Nice. I wonder how old this is. I kind of maybe getting a bit of like older vibes. I can't tell. There's no date on the can.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it might be just a
So
little. It's giving me a little bit of older vibes, but talk to me.
you know what? It's one of those things of if I had had it without knowing the style, I probably would have guessed pale ale instead of IPA.
Right.
Because it feels like a little bit more mellow, a little bit more toned down on on the hop profile. It's still very enjoyable. What I get off of it is I'm getting melon mostly
Yeah, I'm getting that
at
too.
the at the forefront, but it does have a bright citrus component as well, which is
Great point.
which is definitely elevating it. But yeah, I would have called this a pale ale if I hadn't looked at the style.
It's 6%, so it's not too far outside of pale ale territory. It just feels a little muted.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep, I agree.
which could just be yeah. I don't believe they stamp their cans, unfortunately, which I always feel like is such an important thing. Just particularly for this style. I mean, not every canning machine has that ability, so I do understand. Um,
Yep.
I just feel like it's like just a handy little tool for particularly for these type of beers, just so we know where it's at and make sure that it's consumed fresh. It might have just been sitting. I don't think I had it that long. I think I got it the week of the podcast with them, so I've only had it for less than 2 weeks. So either way, not solid, man. Like Chronicle just a really great haze. I mean, super impressed. Their body is great. Like, this is incredibly smooth. Definitely,
It is very smooth. Yes.
It's got the
You know what? You know what it also is too. What did you say the hops were?
Mosaic and El Dorado.
Mosaic and El Dorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'm getting vibes similar to Frequency Bicycles Pale Ale that we had last week when they were on. They're all El Dorado Pale Ale. I'm getting a similar vibe from this, in the same way that like it's quite dry. There's not a lot of sweetness to it, which is quite nice and something that is less common in a lot of haze these days. So I think that might be the El Dorado vibe going on with this here.
Interesting. I guess I never really thought too much about El Dorado specifically as far as sort of what it offers. I imagine like we would have had like a monogamy or something, or one of those single hop beers with El Dorado, and I just don't recall off the top of my head. And of course, they change over time. If this beer has been around for 4 weeks, for example, it might just be the way that it kind of changes over time. It's giving me a lot of that overripe fruit vibe, but definitely you're 100% on the melon and the citrus on this one for sure. But it's a good indicator. I feel like this isn't an indication of the quality of what they typically do. But their beers overall, I'm super impressed, man. Even their crispy boys, they've been doing them. Like right now, they said they have like 19 beers on tap, which is crazy.
Yeah, I've seen them have that before. They seem to always have a huge tap selection, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, they do. I think they just pump out a lot of
stuff. And we definitely. Yep, and we definitely know their team lactose too. They've got because they've definitely got at least one milkshake IPA, which I've seen them have out on a semi-regular rotation.
Oh yes, we were talking about that during the podcast. I said they're going to shoot some over when they're about to drop one. I forgot what the flavor. Maybe it was just vanilla or something. But apparently they were saying the milkshakes are pretty good, and I feel like as you and I know, we don't really get them super frequently these days. I mean, Bellwoods has been dropping milk sharks that have already kind of been done. Like the last one, I still have one left in the fridge of raspberry. They brought the raspberry back, and that hasn't been around since like 2018.
Yep.
They brought the tangerine back. They did the grape one was new, like Concord grape was new. But yeah, so Bellwoods are doing them. Seems to be through over the summer, like once a month maybe. I don't know if there's anything else they're working on now. I haven't seen it, but yeah, they're doing a lot of they're not doing a lot of this style period, obviously outside that, but I feel like I don't see it a lot. I feel like it's pretty much a very niche thing now. Yeah.
I mean, milkshake IPAs are kind of yesterday's news nowadays. Like you're saying, the odd brewery is still doing them, and like the ones who do it as part of a series, like Bellwoods and Bicycle, are still going to have them every now and then. But they're, lactose is not quite the wild ingredient in what like it once was. Which is not a bad thing, because there's less people bitching about it now than there was.
Right. It got to a point. I feel like we could take a bit of credit for the rise in popularity or discussion of lactose with our incessant posts about it in the Team Lactose Twitter account, and obviously the opposition from Chris and Noah as well. But I kind of feel like at first, you and me were starting to get just annoyed with people, because people would be really aggressive online about it, and we didn't know if they were serious or not. I think most people turned out to be kind of joking, but it was like, I don't know, it started to get annoying for a bit there, because like it was just too much, like it's just an ingredient, but it was like too much negativity around an ingredient for my life.
Well, you know what? There's other stuff that that negativity gets focused to for the type of people who are determined to be negative. They'll find something. But we'll have more to say on that later.
Yes, we will indeed. And on that note, the next thing we're going to talk about, I guess we might as well get this in order. The breweries opening back up, which is pretty dope. The world seems to be very slowly but surely coming back to normal. and that. But well, I guess Ontario and Quebec we have opened a little bit sooner than you guys, but we had patios open up June, like end of May or the first week of June. I think it was like June 7th when indoor dining reopened again. So far, cases have, because I was interesting. Obviously, I'm COVID conservative, so I would like to just sit back and watch and see what happens when things change. There are others who are like, "Fuck that! I need a patio now." So that that's great because the breweries and restaurants need the business, which is fantastic. I imagine society's kind of balanced in that way, but so far so good. I think, man. I think it's been pretty positive with the numbers. The numbers are lower than I've seen it, like around 100, 150-ish here in Quebec, which is pretty wild. It hasn't been that good since July or August, and it could be that the vaccine rates have gone up, and I know that it doesn't stop it spreading, but it stops, I guess, people not knowing that they have it, so therefore they're not reporting cases, or if they are, there's just less things going around. I'm not too sure what it might be. Or it could just be that goddamn restaurants and breweries are not the breeding grounds that perhaps the government or whoever made the decision to shut them thought it might be. It's interesting.
Yeah. So we have, we're so like you were saying, we're a little bit behind here, like here in Ontario, which is fine by me. I'm I'm not
You're conservative like me.
Like you, I'm very very cautious on on this stuff. Like I have not hit a patio yet.
Same.
I'm glad for the breweries and the restaurants that were able to open. I know it's meant a lot to them to be able to serve people, on site. We here in Ontario, patios have opened back up as of either a week or 2 weeks ago.
I think it's a week.
Yeah, it's probably a week. I'm having trouble keeping track,
Right.
but yeah. So it was a week. So yeah, it's been open. It's been open for a week now. Like outdoor dining only. Indoor dining has not opened back up yet. That's going to be part of the next stage of the reopening, which I think is coming no sooner than 3 weeks from when the patios opened. So and our caseload is still going down here too. We're now hovering around 300 or 400 cases a day, which is like back around the numbers that we had in September.
That's pretty good.
It's really 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 good to see numbers going down, and vaccination rates have been extremely high in the last couple of weeks, which is great. And availability is continuing to open up. So all good news. And like I was saying, it's just been really really good for the breweries. It makes me a little nervous. The idea of going to a patio, which is why I'm still holding off for a little bit. I'll probably be waiting a few more weeks before I'm comfortable to hit one. But I'm glad to see breweries being able to serve people again. It means so much to them to be able to serve people on site.
It does.
Something else I'll note as well is mad respect to the breweries that are not open on day one, who are being more cautious even as business owners, which takes a huge amount of, I think, they deserve a huge amount of credit for kind of taking things really cautiously and slowly. It shows a lot in a business model where they really really value the safety of their employees and their customers to to be very cautious about how they approach their reopening and very deliberate about how they approach their reopening. Godspeed and Toronto are ones that have been that way throughout Dominion City here in Ottawa have been exactly the same. They've not served people on site since March of last year. They actually just today opened up an outdoor beer garden, and it's the first time that they've served people on site since March of 2020. So it's good to see when the breweries are being cautious about it. That's something I really appreciate.
I couldn't agree more. I've seen I forget some of the others, but I've definitely seen others opt not to rush ahead. I think also they didn't get a lot of notice from the government as well, which happened last time.
They didn't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The notice was very last minute. It was like something on the Wednesday that they were allowed to open on the Friday, and that's the kind of thing. Like, who the fuck has time to get that to get kegs ready, to get food ready, to make sure you have enough staff, all of that shit.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, they really do. Beard and Bozo was saying we have 15 cases in North Bay today, which is way more than Ottawa. We have 50k people. It's around an outbreak in our jail. So I guess that's the type of shit that is bound to happen. I guess we just have to figure out how to manage that. The interesting thing, I always was ranting about how Australia and New Zealand had it right because they managed to get rid of everything and were in sports stadiums back in like September last year. This was long before a vaccine existed. So I was like, okay, well, obviously we're missing something. But then they were letting Australians come back from India, and obviously, the variant from there is quite different and very intense, I believe, and it's really fucking people up. So people were coming back on those flights, and they put them in these quarantine hotels. And I believe in that sort of process of transporting them out of the flight, the airport, into the hotel, some of the staff got it, and then they spread it around because they didn't know they had it at first. And then they just locked down again. They locked down for 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really seem like a great way to operate either, where as soon as some cases pop up, you just shut everything down, out of the blue. So it's an interesting, societal problem that we're going to have to figure the fuck out. Hopefully it's something that we can manage and that everyone comes together on it. But bringing it back to the beer world, yes, it's nice to even though, and I imagine I'd be curious to see what you think about this, dude. But all we can do, the funnest thing in our life is going for a walk. There's literally that's as good as it gets right now, and walking around our neighborhood. As much as I'm not going to participate in it, I enjoy seeing people on the patios and having a good time and doing their thing, and I'm just sort of like, it's a feeling of normalcy that I didn't know that I wanted to see, if that makes sense. Did you you feel the same way?
Yep. I feel you there. It's one of those things that it makes me feel happy to see people on patios enjoying a beer, and particularly when I'm seeing if I'm seeing on Instagram or I'm looking at stories of my some of my favorite breweries, and the people there on the patio are just so happy to be there. It's a good thing to see. It's something that I really want to feel again. I miss my favorite breweries. I miss I miss being in there. I miss just kind of soaking in the environment of it. Yeah. The happy people, the wonderful people behind the bar who are or the folks in the back who are making the product, and just the people who love the beer as much as we do, and just kind of being able to be in one place with these people. It's something that I really miss, that I really want to experience again. So seeing people enjoy it is kind of the closest thing that we can get to that for now. So yeah, I'm very much with you on that.
Yeah, it's. I was even talking to Tiff about I wonder what it'll take for us to be willing to make that jump. I don't really know what that would be yet, and I sort of feel bad because obviously I want to support the breweries and shit, and I'm seeing everyone do it. Obviously everyone's fine. I don't know. The cautiousness in me is
not quite there yet.
Yeah, and I feel like, and that's okay. And I feel like I feel like everyone's been pretty cool. Like no one's even asked me about patios and stuff like that. And I feel like I've had breweries, to be honest. I've had a couple breweries ask me or offer when we were doing some of the ones we did recently. They're like, "Oh, if you want to come by the brewery," and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, "Yeah, man. Like, I that's one thing I'm not comfortable doing for a while, at least the remainder of this year. I can't see that being a thing again."
And and my thing on that is you should not feel bad about that. Not like not even for a second. It's
Okay, good. Thanks,
like
man.
it's that like you really should not feel bad about that at all. I feel as strongly about that as I do about um, that like not feeling pressure to drink when like when people are saying things like the breweries need your business and whatnot. Like your health and your comfort around around those things has to come first.
Yeah.
If you want to like when you want to support the breweries, there are ways that you can do it while still being safe, while still thinking of your health first, while still staying within your comfort zone. Like there is absolutely no reason that you should feel pressure, that anyone else should feel pressure to to go back before you're comfortable too.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's yeah, definitely. Even Tiff said nothing wrong with taking it slow. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
There's I think the interesting part though. I think there's enough people who have been fucking like itching to get to these patios. Like shouts to Mike from Mike Beerbrit. He writes with Beerism. He's doing a thing. I think it was this week where he was only posting beers on draft from patios. And I thought, good on you, man. Like, you're going out, you're supporting the breweries and around Montreal and stuff. And I was like, that's great because that's a valuable thing to do. He obviously feels comfortable doing that. So I was like, that's dope. I'm sure the breweries would be stoked to see that that's what he's doing, bringing his camera,
Yeah.
hanging out at the breweries.
And they definitely are. They definitely are. Because I was chatting with Chris, like our friend Chris from Hops and Bros today, because he swung by to do a beer drop, and we were chatting for a bit. For those who don't know, Chris from Hops and Bros works at one of our favorite breweries, Cinquième Baron, over in Elmer, just across the bridge from me here in Ottawa. And he was stoked to be to have people back back on their gorgeous patio there, enjoying beers on draft. They're so happy to to be able to serve people on site.
And I've been, I noticed that with Chris as well. I haven't spoken to him directly yet. But, no, I did speak to him the other day. And do you know what he said to me? And this was actually really cool. When he did a beer drop the other week, I think, because he comes by Noah and I for the Chinwag stuff. And he was like, he goes, yo, it's an interesting thing that I've noticed. He's like, they close at like 9 p.m. Obviously, people are, in the beer world, we go to a brewery. Say in the before times, if we were having like a big night, you'd go to like a brewery to start, and then you go to like a beer bar that's open till 2 or 3 out here or whatever, right? Like vice versa. Or you go to Bar Hop in Toronto or L'Autre in Gatineau or Lupulus in Ottawa or something like that. Afterwards, it's open like normal bar hours. So because no one has gone out and nightlife, as far as our routines and habits, has essentially disappeared. He's like, people like at the brewery, finish their drink, grab a 4-pack, go the fuck home. Like no one's really like trying to do anything, and everyone's so used to doing that. He said that seems to be it. He goes, the only one time they opened till 11 p.m. because people were around, but otherwise it was 9 p.m. all the time because people aren't trying to stay there all night. They go there, they have their quiet couple beers, maybe grab some food because a lot of them either do food or they have on-site vendors and food trucks and cool stuff like that, which I know Sankiem does a lot of, and grab their beers and go home. I thought that was pretty interesting because people's habits have changed, and I wonder if that will continue in the short term and then maybe go back to normal, or if some people are more comfortable, not being. There's always going to be a faction of people to kind of do both, but maybe the younger folks who are like 21 and just want to go out and go to the bars, they're probably not going to be too afraid and going to do their thing. Whereas maybe the other people who kind of got used to it, like, I can happily go for a beer on a patio and then head on home and enjoy the rest of my night. So it's interesting to think about the habits of drinking habits and consuming habits of people have actually been physically changed because of this, which is cool.
Yep.
For better or worse.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The other, what was I going to say? As far as like, it was an interesting thing. You were actually, because you were one of the only, most people that I see online, I feel like are quite aggressive with like going out and doing their thing. And I always find that whenever anyone agrees with me, is more conservative, I'm always kind of shocked about it. And you were one of the few people that I talk to regularly that I align with as far as not being, not wilding out and going straight for it. And when you went to visit your in-laws in Rimouski sometime over the summer last year, you were on a patio, and I was like, what the fuck, Nate? You're on a patio? What are you doing? And then you sort of explained, because I'm not really familiar with all of that area. And that was part of the reason we decided we wanted to go somewhere. So I saw you on there, and you were like, yeah, there's X cases here. That was when there was like 50 cases in Montreal type of thing, and hardly, literally, as soon as you go east, it's like nothing. So I was like, interesting. So we ended up going to, like, that kind of inspired me, because I was like, all right, well, if Nate's as cautious, if not more cautious than we are, then if he felt comfortable, then all right. And then we went to Quebec City, and this was in late August, early September. We went to Quebec City, which at the time I think had total 1,200 cases in the area, and it was basically nothing. I mean, everything was super cautious. Everything was chill. I mean, sorry, no one was like slacking everything, but it was the first time we went on a brewery, a patio, or indoor dining at the time. And then we went on to Gaspésie region, which is so far but so beautiful. And it was cool because even there, like, they were super strict with COVID precautions, and they had 200 cases, not per day like we have here. Like, the whole fucking region was 200 cases.
Like in the whole region, yeah.
And like in that, we went to stay in this little hotel, and the room was the lobby part was like as big as the average living room, but they wouldn't let me and Tiff inside. It was just one of us was allowed to go and check in and check out. And I was like, that's dope. And I felt super comfortable doing all of that. So I guess what I'm saying, I wonder when that feeling will come back, being that we're at 150 odd. It fluctuates, I think I saw 120 the other day, or back to 170, 190 in Quebec. I know you guys are kind of about double that for now, but it's a matter of time before that drops. I wonder when we'll feel ready to go. I mean, I guess it's easier to go into the if you bugger off somewhere in the sticks, it's probably a little easier because you know that, and you're sitting on a patio in the sticks, and the chances even here of probably getting it on a patio in the city are slim to none anyway. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see when that time comes. For everyone has their thing, so.
Yep. Well, yeah. We'll certainly be talking about it. So I'll let you know when I'm when I hit that point of being comfortable enough to hit a patio.
I would love to. I know we talk anyway, so you tell me. But I think it's I would just love to hear, because it's nice to just see other folks who are what everyone's comfortable doing, and because when hey, this person's similar to me like that, like, oh, do you reckon they would, maybe it's time for me to do the same thing or whatever the fuck. So it is quite appealing. I'm seeing it, like, even though I'm still I'm not going to do it, but I'm looking like, fuck, that would be nice to sit there and like have a beer there. And, particularly some of them are really like nicely boarded off. So like there was one I walked past the other day. They had these like full wooden, like nicely painted, like wooden boards separating people on the patio. I'm like, damn, that's safe. On the flip side, I'm not going to call them out because I love this brewery and I know the people, but I walked past and there was like 8 inches back to back between people on the patio, and it was just normal. It wasn't restricted seating. It was exactly what it was 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, guys, like, to me, it kind of feels like they might just get busted or something. I don't know. Like, I hope they don't. But
yeah, that ain't it. That ain't it.
I was like a little shocked that people are cool doing it. Like, even if there's not much chance, still I'm not trying to be near humans. And that just having that patio, I just thought there were restrictions. I thought you actually had to have a minimum distance between.
The truth is they probably do, and it's probably not quite following the rules there.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so I won't call them out, but hey, man, it's just nice to see things kind of get back to normal, and hopefully, if this gosh darned weather fucking stops raining, which is typically a June thing, but you know, just nice vibes when we had to cruise around the city and just see people out here vibing. Just hopefully people keep behaving. Just want to see them keep behaving. So on that note, I know we were sort of pushing through. Normally we finish the beer. Do you want to move to the next one, or do you want to keep sitting on this for a bit?
I think I'm okay to move on to the next one if you are.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Just because I know we were talking a little bit earlier. Normally I try to stick to that every 30, 45 minute thing there. So this was a very good coincidence that we both happened to have this one. You want to go fetch it? I'll tell people. Do you mind grabbing
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go fetch it.
Yeah, no problems. Bottom shelf, same thing. So these guys, the next beer we're having is from a brewery called Badlands in, I'm not sure where, I forget the town. It's like, I think it's up near Niagara way. And they are, that's it, thank you so much. They are Haze Lords. And I split an order with my brother recently because it's really hard for me to get. I don't know these guys or anything. Super hard for me to get them. I've only really tried them a bunch because Nate hooked me up. And he happened to get some as well. So this is, they have this series, this double IPA series every month. And they do like rotating hops. So this is pretty dope. Have you tried this yet?
I have not tried this yet.
No, I did because I happened. They only sell in 12 or 24 packs. And I split a 12 with my brother just so I don't need that much. And so because
did I lose you?
Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nathaniel. Hello, sir.
I can hear you now.
There we go. You got me. Yeah, they only sell them in 12 or 24 packs, which I think I've seen that before. A lot of the American breweries do that. It's very convenient for them, I imagine. And you get 3 of each, 4 different beers, 3 of each in the 12. So because we were splitting in between 2 people, I had to get 2 of some and 1 of the other. So I ended up getting 2 of these, and this was fantastic. So I was very happy to hear that you had this one. I was just saying before, I'd hardly ever had Badlands. I think I had them maybe once before, and then you'd hook me up a couple of times because you're a fucking champion.
Yep.
But I don't really get them, so I just say I split.
You know, I try.
You do. Well, you succeed. Do I give this to you? Or you want to, yeah. And yeah, this one is. Let me check Untapped. Definitely Untapped. It's Galaxy Idaho 7 and Citra. It's an 8.2% double IPA. Like I said, in their rotating monthly series. It's their neutral hop ready canvas that they use. Look at that head, mate. For you who don't know. Oh my gosh, look at that, just the line. When you see that line between
Are you smelling the dank on that? Holy shit.
Oh yeah, this is just insane. Badlands are so fucking dope, man, and they have such a great fan base as well. People really love them. Good. Yeah, the dank, the overripe fruit. So basically, Badlands remind me a lot of Third Moon in the way that they do their shit. They have that straight up and down, that real overripe fruit / dank vibe about them. And they're super consistent. Yes, look at that. Little beachy vibes. I love it, man. It's cool. Ooh, I love smelling the can. Shall we get that in us?
Oh my God. That aroma is just intoxicating. Yep, let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Glorious. Yeah, that is amazing.
Oh,
it's so bright, smooth,
Jesus
chalky,
Christ.
creamy. I want to get the rest of the yeast in here. Like, yeah, they're just so... I mean, what I say, it's got Idaho 7, which as well, I don't know if I think we talked about it before, but it's yours and my favorite hop. Citra and Galaxy. Go.
Yeah. So, I say, so on this, oh my God, I could smell that all day. It's one of those ones that's so dank. It's like a puff of weed smoke coming out of it. On the palate, and I find this sometimes with beers that have like a ton of Galaxy, and maybe this is an Idaho 7 thing as well. But I'm getting like fuzzy peach candy, yep. Really intensely on it.
Yes, sir. Ton of that. So you described it as dank, and that's what I would have said. And Noah told me what I'm confusing with dank is like an overripe soft fruit, meaning it's sort of like hasn't gone off yet, but it's kind of like really soft. The flesh is soft. The skin is kind of peeling off.
Yeah.
You know, the pit will come out easy. That type of super ripe fruit. That is what, and I think it might just be a certain brewing style, because to me it's the treehouse style is what I see that they do.
Yeah, and and in my mind, that and dank are a different, are a different thing.
That's what I understand. Yes.
Like dank, I really honestly associate fully with it. Like smelling like weed and tasting like weed smells. Like I'm picking
tasting like
just
weed smells.
like that's the closest thing that I can think of. And the overripe fruit thing is is a whole other thing. But like dank comes on like very distinctly, at least to me, on my palate, and and with the aromas that I pick up on it. There's a couple of Badlands ones that have really done it. Like this one does it a lot. They did one called King Kang a while ago that was very similar. Anderson's Core IPA is one that is super dank. Or very appropriately, if you think of Slam Dank from Twin Sails, if you've ever had that one, that's another one that has that huge, obviously. But yeah, my God, this is this is glorious. Fucking delightful right here.
Oh man, I'm so glad that we got to enjoy this one together on the pod, because I really enjoyed the other one, and I probably would have had it tomorrow night if I didn't get to do it here. It was great. They're saying that we taste a medley of soft fruit notes: peach, pineapple, pithy, grapefruit, and mixed undertones of tropical fruit. I feel like that's a pretty accurate thing, and I'm not getting the dank that you're talking about. I'm definitely getting that overripe fruit very strongly, like really strongly.
I get the overripe fruit too. I wonder if that's just a palate difference. Like if that's that's just something that I pick up more strongly on my palate.
I feel like sometimes I have. I started smoking cigarettes when I was like 15 until I was maybe 21, and I really genuinely feel like I fucked my my taste buds a bit from that, because I was growing taste buds type of thing. So sometimes I just kind of feel like I might miss some stuff, but so I might not totally get the dank. But this is just an exceptional. Like you can even just tell just the way the head comes out. Like I was saying before, that line, which is kind of a bit fuzzy now, but when you're pouring it, the line between the head and the body is just like a razor sharp. The pillowy meringue head is gorgeous and really keeps those flavors sitting there underneath. These guys are exceptional. I'm going to be honest, I got 4 different beers, and maybe 2 of them, this one was the best by far. 2 of them were like, they're okay, which I'm kind of surprised to say that about Badlands. I think if I didn't pay for it, I don't know if I would have drank it all. And the other one was pretty good.
Yeah.
So but it was the first time I ever had something that I was like, oh, it's not bad, because everything from Badlands prior to that was like, fucking Jesus, what is this type of thing? But I guess they're probably.
This is in that category though of the holy shit, this is fucking good.
And just as good as
I've definitely, I've definitely had that before with a couple of their beers too. They are not all in exactly the same category as this. I've had some that have been like, okay, this is very good, but it's not necessarily blowing my mind. But most of them are like this, where I'm like, oh, holy shit. And the ones that are this good, like the mouthfeel on it, it's just
insane,
velvety, silky smooth. It's so fucking good. And would you have guessed that this is 8.2% if you were tasting this blind?
I would have. If I said blind, I probably would have said 6.5 tops, and I only would have said 6.5. I would have said 6.5, but because of the mouthfeel. And I'd be like, it's like. Yeah, probably a little higher because it just and there's so much flavor, like it's super there, but there's no detection of the booze, which is dangerous. And I think that's what these guys tend to do, and I agree wholeheartedly. 95% of Badlands I've had would have been A+, like A1 shit.
Yeah.
I feel like it's yeah, and they have the mouthfeel very similar to Third Moon. What Steve is doing out there is just mind-blowing, and there's a few breweries in Ontario that are just doing this very, very special shit, like Brewski out here doing similar stuff with the mouthfeel, obviously Bar Canada as well, but Masorum. Yeah, man, we're very fortunate. It's something that also, even talking before, sort of about like sort of like moving around and going places now that things are opening up, even travel. Like, I feel like we've been really spoiled, and you kind of realize how spoiled we are here, at least in the East Coast, with the amount of fire that we're able to get. It's obscene, really. I'm super stoked that we're able to just get hold of this type of stuff so easily. This world class shit. Like, if any of the people in the States tried this stuff, they would be losing their shit. It's probably good that they might not be able to be here for it, because
of course they would. It's as good as anything they can make there, for sure. It's funny. I remember listening back to the very early days of you and Scott just talking shit on the podcast, and talking about like the odd time that that you guys would try like a couple of American beers. And back in those days, in like 2015, it was there was a huge disparity between Ontario, Quebec, and northeastern U.S. breweries, but like how the Canadian scene has grown by leaps and bounds in that time.
It truly has. It's honestly mind-boggling when you really think about it. The only time I did a bit of a deal with my mate in Vermont, and we bought some stuff from the States and we got it across, and I got to try. And also I got some stuff late last year. My boy in LA sent me some shit, so I got to have some, just for contrast, some Monkish, and I got some Trillium and the Veil, and there's still a little bit of a way to go. I feel like we're like 90 to 95% there, though, which is insane if you really think about what you just said, from where we were from 2015, 2016 to now. There's something just a little. Are you there?
Yeah. And I feel like it might always be like it's one of those things of, even just by sheer population. It's one of those things of, I don't think we'll ever surpass and stay ahead of them. But that said, it's one of those things of, if you were to drive down to Vermont and like, okay, like I'm getting like wistful just thinking of like the thought of driving down to Vermont, because like how long has it been since I've been able to do that? But anyway, that aside, in a different world where where that's possible and will be possible again sometime soon. But if you were to go down there and meet up with another beer enthusiast friend, and if you say you brought them. If you brought them haze from Badlands, or from Saint-Kiem-Baron, or if you brought Des Moines from Saint-Kiem, or if you brought any of the Czech lagers from Godspeed, you bring some haze from Third Moon. You bring stuff from Bar Canada, or from Brewski.
Uh-oh. Nate going froze. I'm having a shit connection tonight. Nate will come back. Maybe he'll drop out, or he'll just kick back in. We shall see. But he's right. I'll finish his train of thought. I feel like if I bring that, I usually go see my friend Rob every time we go down, and I always just bring him beer, because he always laces me with shit. So I always bring him a bunch of stuff, because I know he loves trying all the Canadian shit. And he loses his mind even... I guess the last time we were in Vermont was the weekend before lockdown. So it was March 6th, 7th, and 8th. I remember it distinctly, because it was such an important, the last time we were there. And that weekend was so dope. And I always bring Rob some shit. He's always blown away. And I really feel like even like now, not even a year and a half later, it's just worlds apart. Like, it's just crazy. I feel like I'm excited to get them to try more of this stuff because I want them to be like, Jesus, like Canada's like that right now. Because I don't know if there's many other places that, particularly someone in a place like Vermont, would be able to say that. Everything that they have access to is insane, and for them to be impressed, I'm like, I really feel like they would be impressed though. So it's I think it's an interesting time in Canadian beer here. What should I do about Nate here? Should I kick him off and tell him to come back?
All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna text him and just be like, "Oi, I cut you off. Jump back on. It was just frozen." There we go. Look at us communicating. So I don't know. Sometimes it just happens with the old fucking internet problems. It's super annoying. But we are here. But yeah. Badlands has been really good, man. I was just started. My brother and I, so my brother Notion, he's been involved with BAOS. Obviously, he's part of the team since the beginning. He does a bunch of our photos for stuff in Toronto, and he's been our audio engineer from day one. So he's had everything. So him and I, we do a lot of trades. There we go.
Oh, fuck's sake! There we go.
What was happening on your side? Because you just froze, so I just finished your story for you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I after I had stopped talking, both of our screens froze, and then yours came back. I could hear you talking, but my screen was still frozen, and I guess you couldn't hear me.
I couldn't hear anything, so I was like, I just cut you off because I figured it'd just be easier if you just did that and come back up easier. But I was just basically saying that.
Yep, good call.
That to finish your story before, actually, let me just finish what I was just saying while I was gone. But my brother and I have been trading a lot, so he's in Toronto. And normally I'd be in Toronto so often, I would just bring him beers all the time and give him stuff to take photos of or whatever. So now, and he would never send me beers. He was like, if I needed him to pick something up and send it, he's like, I don't know, man. He just never wanted to do it. He never do it. Now he's a fucking he's all over it. This pandemic, he's been so dope because every time Bellwoods drops something or whatever that we want, he just texts me before I even text him. It's like, you want this? How many do you want of each? And he'll go and he'll put the order, he'll ride up on his bike and pick them up and then collect shit for me and zip them out. Godspeed just dropped 2 new fucking amazing crispy boys. He grabbed a couple of them for me. There's been, Nate's gone again. Jesus Christ. So we've been doing that. So recently we were he's like, is there anything else you want? Because he had 4 beers for me or some shit. He's like, is there anything else you want? And I was like, well, I can't really think of anything I didn't want to make him go out of his way. And, I was like, do you, Nate's texting me for fuck's sake, join back. And I was like, I can't really think of anything. I'm like, yeah, why don't we do an order from somewhere then? We'll just buy some beer from somewhere, get it shipped to you and just split it. So I think I mentioned a couple places and he's like, yeah, what about Badlands? I'm like, fucking let's go. So I just checked their website and they do a 24 or 12 pack, 24 or 12, yeah. So it was just a nice way to sort of, even for me, like I said, I don't know Badlands and I don't get their beers often. So there we go, we back. I don't know what's up with the internet tonight, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Do you want to finish your Vermont story? Because I think I really got the point of what you're saying. But do you want to say, so you're saying all the different stuff. If you bring them this crispy boy and that haze, and you head on down, you think they'd be basically blown away by the quality of what we're doing up here.
Yeah, I think I think so. I don't think they would be, sipping of him in vigor and thinking it's all right if you guys got a ways to go. I think they would be thinking you know what, guys, this is good shit. There's good shit brewing in Canada, and they'd be right.
100%. Do you know what was also interesting? I had another brewery called Mill River, who we had on before from Vermont, and they were on 2-3 weeks ago, and I asked the dudes, who are your top 5 favorite, which are your top 5 favorite beer regions? Are you there? Oh, you're just standing really still.
No, I can still hear you.
Okay. You were just really still, and the way that you looked like you were frozen.
Okay.
And I asked them, and I think neither of them said Vermont would be in their top 5, and they live in Vermont. And I thought that was interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I was like,
interesting.
Maybe it's it's proximity, because we were like, well, sometimes you don't appreciate what's in your backyard until maybe you leave or whatever,
Yep.
I think that's sort of like, I don't think we are suffering from that, and I think the pandemic stopped people from not appreciating what's in their backyard because it was difficult to get things that from elsewhere. I mean, not everyone is into trading or is willing to spend that money. I mean, if you think about it, trading with I got a good friend in Vancouver that I trade with occasionally, and it might cost $20-30 to send the beer, but it's $1,000 for a plane ticket. And there's hotels and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's a much more affordable way to taste the world type of thing. And I wish it wasn't as difficult to get stuff over the border. It's pretty possible. It's not that difficult. There's just a chance that they could take everything and you waste a lot of money because a lot of the stuff you're getting in the States, we're losing 30%. And then beers aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Plus postage. Shipping is fucking obscene, particularly gets heavy.
Yep.
Yeah,
you got to be willing to put a bit of work into it and a bit of money into it. But for those willing to make it happen, you can. But you brought up a really good point that one thing that the pandemic did is it made a lot of us kind of, and it certainly did this for me, is rediscover your home beer scene. And kind of really start to appreciate the beer in your hometown.
I guess hometown / home province, particularly for Ontario. And you've been a great, you the way you drink, bro, I love it. I think you're such a fucking like an ideal beer consumer because you're a staunch supporter of the breweries in your hometown. You're always copping from them. But whenever there's an opportunity for you to grab shit from out of town, like Lupulus were doing some stuff in Dominion, Friends of Dominion, and other things like that, you will go out and you'll cop it all. And I feel like you drink really good all the time. I feel like you're always like, obviously you get the stuff as a content creator, you get sent beer and things for the blog and things for your Instagram and so on and so forth. But I feel like you're always supporting really heavily, and I think it's super. I feel like that's it's dope, and you're basically taking advantage of everything that your region is offering you, on top of having the ability to order and get it shipped to home, because we do not have that here in Quebec, but you're able to take advantage of that too. So I think you've got a really nice like balance of everything.
Yeah, man. Like I'm doing pretty well. I'm not hurting for excellent fucking beer here. For a number of things that you mentioned. Between Friends of the Dominion and and Bar Lupulus, oh my god, like so much good shit that that I'm able to get my hands on here while supporting like so much shit that I'm able to get from out of town while supporting my some of my favorite local businesses. Like, it doesn't get better than that.
Not at all.
It's one of those things of before Third Moon started doing their Sunday Fun Day where they were shipping. It showed up in the Friends of the Dominion store, and when it was one of those things when I got the Instagram alert that Dominion City had that, I was like almost like spit my coffee out of my mouth. I'm like, order immediately.
I figured that's what it would have been, because you were like always all over all that shit. As soon as have you got notifications turned on for that?
I do. I turned my notifications on for Dominion because it was one of those things of like, I want to know when stuff is coming up in Friends of the Dominion immediately because I don't want to miss out on it. And they get a lot of really good shit there. Even some stuff that's real that's hard to get. Like Barn Cat still doesn't have shipping across the province. Like it's still only.
Pickup,
with the emergence of all of these independent stores that are now able to sell their stuff, like there's so much more accessible across the province, and it's even the kind of thing of when we were talking with Josh and Scott at Dominion City, like Farrell will be driving out to Cambridge to pick shit up from Barn Cat, then coming all the way back with it. So anytime I see Barn Cat in their shop, I'm like, okay, Farrell must have been on the road yesterday.
Yeah, because it's like hella fresh too. Like they do not, and they also go to wineries. They go everywhere. Like Dominion are just like, everyone already knows how we both feel about them and their entire team and their business. They're fucking amazing. They deserve all the props in the world.
Yeah, and you're right. Like they're hitting wineries too. Like they hit Rosewood all the time. They've got a huge stock of Rosewood there. Like they hit Hinterlands all the time, and even coffee too.
Really?
They got all kinds of good third wave shit in like in their store. They've got honey. They've got chip.
Uh-oh. We had a good run.
Fuck! I lost you again.
Yeah, we good. We back. Can you hear me? Nathaniel. Can you hear me? Shout outs to technology, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and he's gone. I was going to give a bit of a for technology there. Yeah, no, Dominion City are fucking amazing. I didn't know they had coffee and stuff. Like, that is so dope. I feel like that's the exact type of business I'd want to run, where you're already making fire beer and you're able to support other businesses whilst serving your community and you know, giving them exactly what they want, which is more fire beer and more fire coffee, wine, all these things that we already consume. And like, it's they understand their consumer, I think is what that speaks to. Oh, I need to say that to Nate. I think that's really what Dominion are all about. Like, they're just an exceptional business, and the way they do everything is just fucking wild. Here we go. Is Nate texting me here? He gave me a god ducking, damn it. He even got spell auto corrected when he's trying to cuss at it. I don't know what's happening. We had Nate on last Friday and it was fine. So I'm not really sure what's going on right now. So thanks for bearing with us, guys. And I'm, keeping everyone going. I think I was even talking to Tiff about doing podcasts like by myself. Look at how far, like, you want me to do this for 2 hours? Fuck out. Like,
you're great.
I can hold it down, but imagine like.
And then someone just talks to you off site. You just say stuff. But then I say things to you off camera.
And off camera, I'm like, oh, anyway.
You just chat.
We get the popcorn. Nice. Yeah, shouts to popcorn. No, it's okay. No, can I take one? One popcorn.
Just a pop.
Avocado oil is popcorn.
Yeah.
Organic.
How
we get down local.
I think you'd be great
Is it
by
local?
yourself.
Is it local?
I don't believe so.
No, I wouldn't do it by myself though. It's too like, I like to riff off somebody.
No, that's fair though. I think it is a vibe.
It's a vibe,
like,
right?
If you have to have be a certain person that just talks, even though you love talking, you love a chinwag.
I love a chinwag.
But you love chinwagging with others. I guess that's the difference.
So if people don't know,
love
like
chinwag.
Tiff, I don't know. I taught Tiff too many Australian slang words, and chinwag is one of them. And she always, that's why we called our chat the chinwag with the boys, because Tiff was like, oh, Craig just loves the chinwag. Loves the fucking chinwag.
Is Nate restarting his?
I don't know. Like, I think so. I guess he is coming back in. I can keep this fucking going. Don't worry about that, mate. We got another beer to go. Are you coming back or what? Dan's like,
that's cool. Is it because Dan's an admin? He has a little screw.
Yeah, he got a little thing now. Buzz me on in-cam, and you will continue. Dan will jump on. Dan is hilarious.
Bye, Nate. Dan's in now.
All right, okay, Nate.
See?
It's the same link, Dan.
You do the podcast, and then Dan and I are sitting on the other side, and we just randomly throw things at you.
And just throw things at me to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Dad. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it, Daniel. God damn it, Nathaniel.
Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. I don't know if the rain's fucking with it or what.
Yeah, it could be a rain thing, because basically our weather's the same. Whatever you have, I have. So it's kind of wild. I can't even. Oh, we just talked about Dominion having the coffee and stuff. I was saying that Dominion really, really know their consumer, because if they're bringing Rosewood, and the real heads who know, like the beer heads, know fucking Rosewood, bro. And then third wave coffee. All of us drink third wave coffee. The real craft beer heads and the real people who like local wine, like really high quality wine, fuck with third wave coffee. So like Dominion bringing all those things in, and then like you said, like good like local chips and snacks and all this stuff. It's just like this cornucopia of phenomenal products directly marketed at a craft beer consumer that is highly probable, if not guaranteed, that their consumer base will be interested in these products. And they're just allowing things to grow and be, and just be it's like it helps everybody. Everybody wins, particularly at a time when everything's rough, right? Like, you know, all of these businesses are suffering, so they're buying from Rosewood and then just selling it at probably a very small margin, so they make a few bucks on it because it's costing them. They're sending 2 paid employees in a vehicle with gas and probably lodging, because it's like fucking Ottawa to Cambridge must be like 6 hours or so. So, like, they're staying overnight somewhere. They're not just cruising down, right?
Oh, really? No, I don't think so. I would bet you Farrell's doing that trip there and back in one day.
Oh, Farrell's is fucking... He's a beast, though. I love that dude.
He's a machine.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. Shouts to him, man. But yeah, man, I love that Dominion are doing that. And sort of on all of that note, one of our other topics, just because we're nearly at 2 hours, we've still got 2 more topics to go.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it.
One of the things that I was trying to like very sleekly segue to it, but I guess it didn't work. Was just going in on, you know, we're
Sorry
talking about.
to interrupt you just for a second there, man. I just gotta change camera batteries, but keep talking. I'll still be on the audio.
No problem. So one of the things, you know, we're talking about supporting businesses and all of this stuff, and you know, one of the things that have been really important for me, and I've talked about this not super often because we've had so many interviews, but over the pandemic, I changed my drinking habits to strict nights per week, 4 nights a week, and it's made me. I've been felt significantly better, and I've been able to manage. Like, obviously with the volume of shit that I have to get through for BAOS, it's not always helpful. I should probably drink more to get through more stuff, but I'm very glad I'm not doing it. I've kept my healthy little habits. So basically just trying to check up and see where everyone's healthy habits are like a year and a quarter or so later, when, you know, things are starting to open up. And personally, I have kept the habits. What I have been doing is there's one night midweek where I don't drink on Wednesdays. And what I've been doing is after dinner, like at the end of the night, 11, 12 o'clock, I'll have a high ABV beer, like a 10%er, a stout, triple IPA or something, because I don't drink those shits basically ever. Like, a triple IPA is such an inconvenient thing, or imperial stout for me. Like, there's barely a time when I'm going to want to drink it. Tiff doesn't split the beers with me typically. Sometimes Dan's around, will split it, but like mostly I don't really drink them because I need to get through volume to make sure I'm taking the content and taking the photos and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And being able to have on the Wednesday at the end of the night, that's all I'm having. I'm not having like a lager with dinner and then something else like I normally would. Like, you know, I'll have probably 4 beers on average typically. That was all I could really take. I'm a bit of a lightweight. Having that late night stout, and I think it's to do with the weather. In winter, I had no interest in doing that, and I loved these nights off, and I still do. But I found on the Wednesdays doing those is kind of nice late night, and having that for now, and I'll probably do that in the summer, because when it's hot, it's like you need something, and I started hitting the sauna again, because I feel a bit more comfortable doing that. I have a sauna in our building. No one really uses it now. Before, people were using it, fucking it up and shit. Now no one even touches it because everyone's stopped using facilities because of COVID. But I feel like if anywhere is safe, it's a sauna, because it's like hot as fuck and there's nothing's really going to survive in that heat. And it's just removing the toxins from my body. I do that probably 5 days a week, and it's glorious. So I feel like all of that have kept. So I've basically kept most of the habits. I'm introducing a bit of that through the summer, and I'm sure I'm happy because I'm able to drink some of these beers that would just be sitting around. And now I'll be able to start plugging through those a bit more, hopefully throughout the summer, which is almost weird that I'm going to be drinking the winter shit throughout summer. But, you know, it's kind of nice to have, you know, a 10% imperial stout or a pastry stout or something that, you know, on a nice little Wednesday evening when it's 35 degrees or whatever. It's, you know, I know when you're not having anything else, you don't feel that 10% type of thing. Like, you barely feel it. It's weird.
It can be dangerous. I've gone through an interesting phase. I've gone through. I feel like I've gone through several phases
We haven't
throughout
talked
the
about this.
pandemic.
I'd be curious to how you've been drinking because we never spoke.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've talked about it. Like we talked about it the last time we did, just kind of like a shooting the shit chat, which was pretty early in the pandemic. It was one of the earlier episodes of
It
the
was.
of the Adjunct series. I think it was maybe back in like October. Or, no. It had to have been earlier than that. It must have been like April, May of last year, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but like because earlier in the pandemic, I found that I was drinking a lot more. Like I feel like most of us were, because it was one of those things of like I would have a beer earlier in the evening on work than I normally would. And like for those who don't know, like I work for a tech company, and they like I'm new, like being like working in the office, and I'm one of those ones who's now working from home every day. Um, so it's one of those things that I found myself cracking beer earlier in the evening on work nights than I generally normally would. Um, so the habit I've gotten into now is like and I like I implemented this pretty early on. Like in the pandemic, like probably by late spring of last year, early summer, like I take 2 days off a week like from drinking. It's normally Mondays and Tuesdays, and now it's Mondays and Tuesdays every other week because now we do the chin wag every other Tuesday. So when it's when it's that, then it's like Mondays and Wednesdays or whatever.
Okay.
But I
So you
take
make
2 days off. Yeah, I take 2 days off per week, like from drinking religiously. I like it even better when it's Mondays and Tuesdays because I find that having 2 days off in a row that like just does a world of good for me.
So good.
Like for my sleep more than anything. 2 days off in a row is just delight. Um, it's like taking a break from drinking like is so key, and I find that like and I find it really helpful to have that rule. Because it's one of those things of when I've gone too many days in a row, I look forward to those days off, and I know you're the same way. And particularly even like even taking more days off than that. Um, yeah, it's I found it really helpful to manage my habits, and I found it really necessary to manage my habits because early on in the pandemic, I realized really quickly like it is too easy to fall into a habit of just drinking whenever you want.
So easy. Like way too easy.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it's great. I'm really happy to hear that because I felt like I got into my habit relatively early on in the pandemic. I don't remember how or why, to be honest, but I stuck with it the entire time. I think I broke it maybe half a dozen times over the year, like hardly at all.
yeah. I'm about the same.
About the same. Yeah, sometimes you got to break it, is what it is, but you kind of make up for it. And I found that uh, and when we discovered non-alcoholic beers that are good, that made it even easier because you have the non-alcoholic beers. And someone like Tiff, who was not really into that, she loved them, and it satisfied, it scratched that itch for both of us on those evenings where maybe you just kind of had a stressful day, or you just kind of felt like a beer or a drink or whatever. You had that, and you're like, I'm good to go. So like,
Well, and what I found has helped. What I found like has helped as well has been the evolution of non-alcoholic beverages because like I'm not a big fan of non-alcoholic beer. It and I find the same thing even with like with micro with session and micro IPAs and things like that. Like the the sharp acidic high carb citrus just flavors just don't really work for me. It's like it's just a flavor that I don't personally like, and it's one that I find like comes out really strong,
right.
particularly in low alcohol IPAs, and it's even more pronounced in like in non-alcoholic beers, particularly non-alcoholic IPAs. But like things like Dominion City Seltzer. My wife and I have been ordering those by the case. It's
Really, I would
like
love it.
it's our new
Okay.
favorite thing. Yeah, yeah. Like City Seltzer is it like it's spectacular. It's been the eye opener of the pandemic for us in terms of like non-alcoholic beverages. If you want something bubbly, um, like that's just got a nice little bit of flavor to it. Like it's It's fizzy, but it's not sweet. It's 0 calorie. It does the job excellent.
How much does that run a case?
It's like that would be about $40 a case because it's like $10 a 6 pack. So
Not bad. That
yeah,
is, I couldn't agree more. One thing on top of to align with you on that, um, my brother got me some of the Bellwoods sparkly water, where they basically, I think they use the runoffs from like Jelly King and shit, and then they just make little fruit combinations with sparkling water. So I've had a few of those
well, that's
recently.
brilliant.
I think that's really what they do, and it's phenomenal. Um, I've been enjoying the Rallerbock, have a great one. Matinee, Libra in Upstreet Brewing from PEI. Their one is
Yep.
phenomenal. We've been getting that. They sent us a case of it one time. We're like, whoa, why'd you send a case? And we started drinking it. We're like, oh, and I hit them back up. I'm like, hey, can we buy a case? Because they wouldn't do it. They just sent us another case. So, that's been a big fave of ours as well. I got some.
Well, yeah, like hop water has been a huge thing, just like sparkling hop water, like like
Wellingtons.
Spearhead with their
Oh,
yeah yeah
Spearhead, Aqua. Fuck, that's what I was thinking.
Aqua.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the greatest shit ever. It's botanical water, they call it.
yeah,
But it's essentially, I think it has a bit of hops and a bit of it's just money. It's so beautiful. AKWA, they call it. And it's just, it's so good. It's just so refreshing and so light. I would buy that by multiple caseload. That shit is impeccable. Wellington did the single hop sparkling waters where they focus on Chinook and I believe it was Cascade for the first two.
yeah, that's brilliant.
And it was so good. I'm trying to think what else I have in the fridge right now. And
Twin Sails out in
well, they did something.
Ralabach as well. Yeah, or not Twin Sails. Two Crows out in Halifax. They like also do. They actually call theirs hop water, and it's the exact same thing. It's a brilliant evolution. I would drink that stuff over non-alcoholic beer any day of the week.
Interesting. All right, I might even just hit up see if Dominion would even just ship because it's like just water. They might just ship it to me. I could just buy it.
They might.
Because it's not
like City Seltzer has has its own site, so I don't know if they've got like different distribution through that. They very well might. So yeah, I would check it out. It's really fucking good.
Okay, and the Two Crows one sounds amazing. But that's the type of stuff like we have the Soda Stream and that's what I have. I've been sipping on the water here. It's all Soda Stream. I love that shit. But when you're having dinner, you want something a little sparkly, and I've really started to have an appreciation for non-alcoholic beer. I think it's super great because we've discovered some really good ones, and the stuff from Le Bazaar, who is owned by Saint Bock out here, was just next level, dude. I'm talking like fruited Berliner Weisses that are non-alcoholic, where you have to swirl it and because of all the fruit puree at the bottom type of shit, and it just comes out. It's amazing. Gin and tonics with lemon and lime and all non-alcoholic. Yeah, Berliners, New Englands with different hop combos. Like extremely impressive. The whole world of non-alcoholic beers in this pandemic has blown our minds. I'm so impressed with it. I'm so happy that so many breweries are doing it. Rorschach do one called Free Spirit. It's phenomenal.
Yep.
And
like
Nicola.
Yep, Omnipolo Conks. That's another one. De Frere have a non-alcoholic IPA, and they also make a non-alcoholic gin, which makes a very nice non-alcoholic cocktail, if that's what you're into.
I love that one. Tiff actually, we were just talking about it earlier with Bruce Morris on here, but Tiff was selected for a cocktail contest with Fever Tree, the mixer.
Yep.
And she got through to the last round. She came in second, but the first cocktail she made was this. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just looking over here. There's a bottle called Seed Lip. And I think they're owned by the same parent company as Fever Tree, and it's a non-alcoholic gin as well, and it's fucking insane. Like the other night when Tiff was already drinking, she went and made a cocktail with the Fever Tree and the Seed Lip intentionally because it was on fire. And they've got like 3 different types of stuff. I just feel like the non-alcoholic innovation, as you and I are big fans of, is so deep right now. It's so impressive. There's so many reasons to balance out your, you can still have that itch satisfied while supporting local businesses and in multiple ways, whether you like non-alcoholic stuff or you just want sparkling water with you. I think either you sent me one. I think you might have. You had me like an orange creamsicle city seltzer. I don't know if you did or Dominion sent it directly, but could have been you.
That must have been Dominion correctly. I don't think it was me.
No, okay. And I was like, this shit is amazing. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah,
I know Scott's a
it
genius
is.
and all, but like, you know, I'm just, there's so many options for us now, and it's a lot of fun, man, and it really helps you manage the drinking, and
It does.
I'm grateful for it because
It makes you realize that like sometimes you just want something fizzy, right?
and the water is cool, but sometimes the water doesn't even cut it, and you want something with a little bit of flavor.
Yep.
You know, and just having a second case is great. Yeah.
So I wanted to to kind of dovetail this conversation back to the conversation of drinking habits because and one of the things that made me think of this was I was listening to the episode of Ren's podcast, like Ren Likes to Talk, that Chris like from Hops and Bros was on like in the most recent episode. Shouts to them. Check out that episode; it's a good one. Because Chris was talking about that and how he's kind of wanted to pivot Hops and Bros to having more of a focus on health and and healthy drinking habits and whatnot, which I fucking love him for. Like it's
So
I'm so glad he's having such a focus on that. And something that they were talking about, and Ren brought up a really good point, is that because she's been in the drinks industry for a while, like she's worked in the industry as a rep, like going back many years and whatnot, and what she was saying was that early on in her career in the alcohol business, healthy drinking habits was not really something that was talked about. It was just kind of not really talked about at all, and which I'm not really surprised to hear, because I think it's not talked about often enough now. But but it makes sense that it wasn't really a topic of conversation 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But it's one of those things that has definitely evolved into a very necessary conversation nowadays. It sometimes becomes a bit of a heated conversation right now. But what she pointed out is that it's a significant change that it's even something that's actually talked about, which I think is a very important thing. Something that we talk about this a lot in our group chat. For those who don't know, Craig and I talk every day along with Chris from Hops and Bros and Noah from Beerism. But yeah, for those who don't know, who tune into the beer chat, we talk literally every day. The chin wag is just basically us putting a camera on the chats that we have every day. But that's something that we talk about often, is this whole thing with the attitude around drinking habits in the craft beer industry. And sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's really, really, really not. Some people just really take the attitude around around healthy drinking habits as a fucking joke. And that Facebook group that we've talked about many times, that most people will know about. If you follow that group, how often is it just meme after meme after meme of joke about the fact that your craft beer habit makes alcoholism acceptable, or or any kind of joke about getting drunk or drinking at 10 in the morning or whatever the fuck it is. And if anyone ever brings up the topic of healthy drinking habits, or taking a look at your drinking habits, or things like that, that stuff just gets shit on. It's something that does not that really gets a lot of flack, and people get really defensive about when they're kind of when it's suggested that you kind of examine and confront your drinking habits. It's a strange thing in this industry that people like to hide behind this notion of, well, I'm supporting my it's craft beer, it's I'm supporting local business and whatnot. Well, alcohol is alcohol. Your body responds to it, whether it's
Same.
made from whether it's made from a local business or whether it's made from Molson. Um,
Yeah,
and
facts.
you can't hide from that. You can't pretend that it's not an addictive substance.
Where do you think this attitude is coming from then? In these say in these groups that also sort of like seep into beer Twitter and other places where people who have an interest in craft beer congregate.
Well, it's very difficult to answer that question without being a bit of an armchair psychologist. At like so like it's something that that I obviously have no expertise in, but it definitely feels like a kind of thing that is very like it's very self-enabling in a lot of ways. I think one of the reasons that that like we find comfort in this craft beer community, right? Like it's what drives a lot of us to to this is feeling like we have friends enjoying the enjoying the same passion that we have. And I think that that kind of camaraderie and that and that feeling of being part of a community can really have an unintentional toxic effect where where it kind of removes it removes the stigma around alcohol consumption, um, which in a lot of ways can be which in a lot of ways can be a good thing to have it not be to have it not have such a stigma on it, but it's one of those things that it needs to it really needs to be balanced, and that's one of the things that I think social media really doesn't allow for is balance,
Mm.
because you choose to only consume the things that that you really want to and dismiss the things that you don't. So if you so it's just one of those things of like it feels good to be part of that community. It drives you to keep trying more beer and and to keep wanting to try more beer, and there's always like a sense of FOMO about it, and and all of these other things. And the idea of talking about taking it easy and stepping away from it, taking a break from it, analyzing your habits, feeling like it might be good to step back from it, um, it's almost discouraged, and
Mm.
you kind of feel that if you take a break from it, that you're going to miss out, or that you'll be left behind by the community, or that kind of thing. It's you want to feel like you're in it.
Right.
So I think it's just an intensely psychological need to be part of the community and to not fall behind from the community.
Mm. To add to that, as you were saying, because I didn't really hadn't really thought about it, and one thing I think contributes to that is the fact that there's new releases every week. So it's almost like if you're not keeping up with the new releases, then you don't feel a part of the community, because it's not
Yeah.
like there's just like a series of breweries that just have flagships and it's like we're just drinking to drink. There's new shit. Everyone wants to try the new shit. Everyone needs to post the new thing to Instagram and blah blah blah. And you don't even, I
Yeah.
think it gets to the point where you don't even realize what you're doing is drinking alcohol. You're just supporting this hobby, and the hobby happens to be alcohol
Yeah.
disguised as supporting local business. And yes, it is that, but even the breweries will mostly tell you that, not all, but most of them will be like, yo man, like chill. And a lot of people might
Yeah.
not get that chill. And I was even, as you were saying all this stuff, I'm just trying to think about my own habits and reasons. And I know that you and I are probably not the average examples, because if we didn't have to have content, would we drink as much? I don't think I was, because you know what the funniest shit is? Before all of this, I wasn't even really a big drinker. I drink when we went to a club or whatever the fuck. Back, I used to be a club promoter since I was 19. Like I was into clubs, and I got over it by about 23. And then I just sort of drank on the weekends type of thing, and that was it. It wasn't like having a beer with dinner. I wasn't really that big on beer, to be honest. Drank a bit of everything. And then when I discovered this beer, it became a chase because I did the 365. So I'm doing the stupid selfies, whatever. And that made me want to collect the beers. It's fucking Pokemon. And that made me want to keep drinking. And I guess I started drinking more at that point. Also, I'm in a new country when I started doing this. I've only been here like 4 months or 3 months, whatever it was, when I started the 365. So I'm still just happy to be here, and it's snowing, and snow's weird, and blah, blah, blah. So, like, that kept going, and I just feel like even at this point, though, that probably would have petered back out because I don't really love being drunk, but I really love beer. Like, I appreciate this industry. You grow to learn to understand, and there's people behind it. So you drink that beer. I don't know the people behind Badlands at all. I actually don't even know their names. But, yeah, I imagine there's, like, a small family business behind this that's put everything up to make the shit. And that, to me, is cool as fuck. And I'm really proud and honored to be able to support those businesses with our platforms and stuff. But yeah, I feel like it's still, you are right though, that those groups, I have seen those posts where people kind of like sort of shit on balance and thoughtfulness surrounding your consumption. It's a shame, and you would hope that 15 months into a pandemic, maybe people would have a bit more of an understanding, or maybe not understanding is not the word, like just sort of like empathy with like, you know what, maybe we all should kind of chill. And that's a problem. It does attract some people with, like, it's almost like it's the veil for alcoholism. Some people actually do have a problem, and that's a problem. The drama with all of this is that some people come into this with addictions, and they're able to veil those addictions. So no, I'm just drinking craft beer, man. I'm just supporting the industry, blah, blah, but they just fucking 10% beers at 8 a.m. and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. No, it's I was very much the same way. Like before I really started to get into craft beer, I was exactly the same way. Like I definitely, like, it wouldn't occur to me to to drink on a weeknight. It would be to drink just just for the hell of it, or just for the enjoyment of it. I would drink on a Friday night if I had friends over, but it would be one of those things of, if I was just having a night alone, like playing video games or something like that, like it wouldn't even necessarily occur to me to crack a beer open. Not until I really got into the enjoyment of craft beer. And when I got into the social media aspect of craft beer, like my consumption like compounded like crazy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things of like, it's definitely always going to attract that that notion of it, and people like to make jokes about about just about everything. But in this case, this is a hobby, this is a passion, but people forget the kind of respect and restraint that it needs to be taken with. And as much as I love dearly a lot of the people that I've met in this in this industry that makes these products that we love so much, every single one of them will definitely tell you that that your health has to come first. When I wrote the article on Dry January this year, largely I wrote that article largely out of anger from a lot of things that I was seeing in the scene. One of my favorite things that I learned from that was from talking to some of the owners and in the industry, and Josh McJanet, who we know, one of the co-owners of Dominion City. The thing that really touched me about what he said is that, like, at the end of this pandemic, and at the end of everything else, he wants those customers to still be around, to come back and enjoy his product. And if it's one of those things of, if customers need to take a break from it, in order to still be around to do so, like like that's something to encourage.
Big facts.
Healthy drinking habits are something that really need to be taken very seriously. It's not a joke.
It isn't at all. And I feel like it's got to be the responsibility of the breweries at some point. I mean, also, like, I do understand that they can't be telling people, hey, don't drink too much of our stuff because that's going to fuck their business. But at the same token, like you said, and like Josh said, you want these people to be around to continue to enjoy the products. And
Yeah.
if they're not healthy by over enjoying the products, well, that's kind of a detriment to the brewery at the end of the day anyway. So, you know, I guess it's such an interesting conundrum that's probably only popped up in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
As far as the craft beer level of disguised alcoholism, or at least overconsumption, because I don't think a lot of people who do it are out. Like you and I definitely, like, I didn't know that about you either. So it sounds like we're pretty similar. Neither of us were like sitting there fucking crushing beers on a Tuesday. It just wasn't how we got down. I never did it. If I drank to typically get drunk. I didn't really like what I was drinking. It would be like I get like apple flavored vodka and mix it with pineapple juice or something, so it just tasted fruity and you get trash.
Yeah, or it would be you'd be buying a 2 for a Moosehead. Like if you just kind of want to have that party feel time with your friends when you're in your early 20s kind of thing.
Right. And that's a completely different approach to what we're doing now. And it's almost like we enjoy it so much. It's like the side effect of the hobby is getting drunk. But it's not a net positive situation. And it's just such an interesting thing. And I feel like like a lot of people don't realize. And there's definitely the interesting thing, particularly with that group. I know we keep bringing up the group, but like there's so many new people to the industry on there, and the way that, and I imagine a lot of those attitudes you're referring to are probably coming from people who haven't been around in it for long, because I feel like most people who've been in it for a while, they get it, they know what this is, and the new people are probably just excitable, and there's some folks who just, wow, what's all this local stuff? This tastes great, and they're sitting there, you know, beta palates liking all this stuff that we all got into 10 years ago, and you're like, oh, all right, I see you know, you're into that new stuff. You know, that's great though, because that's how it goes. And I just hope that those people understand it, because I feel like most of it must come from them. If it comes from anybody else who's been in it for a while, then I guess they're just irresponsible. But I would like to at least think that sort of like more cavalier attitude towards it comes from the folks who are just discovering it and they're excited and they don't see that downside, because it's really hard to see that in the beginning.
I mean, I would like to believe that's true, but I've definitely seen a lot of sketchy shit from people who have been, like, who have clearly been in the scene for a while. Like lots of people take it with a very cavalier attitude.
I know who you're talking about too. Yeah, I wasn't even really thinking.
I'm not even talking about any one person in particular. Like it's a more common thing than any of us would like to believe, I think.
Okay, that means I just haven't seen it enough then. I see that group occasionally, but I don't see all of those different things. Can we take a thumbnail real quick? Because my camera started flashing, and for some reason when I'm connected to Ecamm, this particular camera, if I just change the battery, it doesn't pop back in. It does. I'll just go to webcam. Want to take that thumbnail real quick? All right. Hold that back. What's up? Oh shit. Okay, hang on a sec. Oh shit. Oh, all right. I'm ready. Everyone ready? Is everyone ready? Guys, is everyone ready?
Let's fucking do it.
Okay, hang on. Wait. Oh shit. This is really poor. This is poorly done. This is poorly activated. That's okay. Here we go. Ready? Oh, that is stunning. Yes, it's a great conversation, and I really do genuinely wish it would still be talked about a little more. It's kind of frustrating that it's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be interesting now moving back into, and also it's a harder conversation to have in the summer when people are finally allowed to go out, do their thing, go to bars, breweries, and restaurants, and then they're like, "What? Stop drinking? Fuck that!" Like, you know, particularly I've been stuck in the house for 15 months, bro. Like, well, if you were stuck in the house, a lot of people didn't seem to be, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? yeah, it's. I really hope the conversation continues because your piece was, I think, the biggest piece we've ever had on the blog. The dry
It
January
is.
piece. People
It
lost
is,
their
notably.
minds. Yeah, right, and that says a lot. It was super highly shared and
Yeah, it got and it got interaction from like from people who don't normally interact with it, which was a pretty big sign that I think it was
that
a
it resonated,
conversation
right?
worth having.
Yeah, very much so. And I definitely want to move, keep going back into that from you because you know, those think pieces I think are super valuable. And the great thing about all of this, once again, is you and I and Tiff all really think the same. So I think that I want to keep that sort of vibes coming from the blog. I think if people appreciate that type of stuff, like the reviews, I think are really cool as well because we're supporting the breweries. I want to also just add back now that you know we're going to take this summer from this side to kind of like work on something different. There could be some more of that to come. People need to make sure they're
Yep.
keeping an eye on following at NathanDoesBeer for all of that. With that said, how do you feel about cracking that next bad boy?
Let's do it.
Beautiful, babe. Do you mind grabbing the bottle of the Grandma's Boy? It's in the door of the fridge.
What's it called?
Grandma's Boy, Bellwoods.
I'm gonna have to pee quickly, so I'll be back in a minute.
No problems at all. So, once again, another beer that Nate happened to have that I had was this Bellwoods one. I got it earlier this year. Thank you, baby. I actually, funnily enough, this is it's called Grandma's Boy. It's a wild ale. This is the one with Shiro Plums. I got both of the plum variant. This was the one that Nate happened to have. And funnily enough, so Scott, my old co-host here on BS, who's still a very close friend of mine, him and I used to live a few blocks from Bellwoods when it opened, and I was still in Toronto at the time. And in April 2012, when they opened, we went there. I think it was like within a week of their opening because it came up in my Facebook memories recently. And I had Grandma's Boy on that first day. I didn't realize. And it was I guess the 2012 version of it. This is long before they started adding plums and all this shit to it. So it's super cool. They have, I can't remember the other one I have in the cellar there, but there's another version of a different type of plum, which is super cool. And I really love the way Bellwoods have expanded their wild program. You know, they've gone triple down on fooders. They've got the cool shit going. Like they're not fucking around. This particular one, I wonder if it says anything. It says the wild ale made in the Bellwoods Solera style. Repeatedly, foeder-aged beer is blended with a small percentage of fresh beer to create a spritzy beer with layers of firm acidity, refined Brett character, stone fruit flavor, and soft minerality. This variant is conditioned on fresh Shiro plums from Niagara. I love that. This is from January. Oh, really? January? See, this is the other problem, right? This is why I love in these Wednesday night kind of drinking sessions, because so many fucking things I've just sort of like got over time. I've got, yeah, I think it's just like the other problem with craft beer, right? You just get shit, and then you're like, oh, I'm not going to drink that now. Let me put that in the closet for a bit or whatever the fuck, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you've got 100 bottles in there. Like, oh, okay. So it's nice to try and slowly get through those type of things. I mean, this isn't huge. This is only 7.7, so it's not anything like super boozy. I was just explaining Grandma's Boy, and I happened to try the original Grandma's Boy a week after Bellwoods opened.
Did you know?
Yeah, me and Scotty went down because we lived down the street. We lived on Bloor and Ossington. They were at Ossington and Argyle, or really Ossington and kind of Queen.
Right.
So it was a beautiful. I need to piss as well. Do you want to open it and just talk people through when you got the beer and your thoughts about it? I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure thing.
Cool. Nate's in
so,
charge.
all right, let's do this. Yeah, so Grandma's Boy is an interesting one that holds some memories for me because I'm thinking back to the very first time that I did Bellwoods, which I think was in 2016, I want to say. That was a time back when Nathan Does Beer was actually R&D beer, back when I was doing this with my boys Ryan and Dave, when we all visited Bellwoods for the very first time. And one of the beers that I took home from that trip was Grandma's Boy with Shiro Plums, which is exactly what we're drinking here tonight. Yep, so it's a wild ale, and they've since made several different varieties of it with it, but Shiro is one of the ones that they've made several times over. One of the new ones they made this year was with prune plums, which I also had, which was quite delightful. But as I said before, this is one of the ones that I had from that original trip to Bellwoods back in 2016. And I had it again, I think I had it again last year, yeah. But yeah, a wild ale with Shiro Plums. It's an incredibly tart beer. One of those ones that like you can taste they use the pits in it because of how tart it is, but it's a good one.
Can you feel it in your teeth enamel?
Oh yeah, you can.
I love that
It'll
shit.
it'll peel that enamel right off.
Have you had many Grandma's Boys before?
Yeah, what I was just explaining while you were taking a piss there was when I first visited Bellwoods back in 2016, Grandma's Boy with Shiro Plums was one of the beers that I took home from that very first trip to Bellwoods.
Oh, wasn't that like a mecca experience?
That was an eye-opening experience for me. I think that was I think that was also one of my first sour beers that I had.
Okay, that's a big introduction to the vibes.
Like it's a bold intro, right?
Like a little, probably too much, to be honest.
You know what? It was too much for me at the time, but I did still very much enjoy it. Bam.
Because you're a gangster, mate. Fucking get that. Oh, you got the Bellwoods glass, yes.
Yeah, man.
Oof, it
Get it
smells.
in you,
Get it in you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's exceptional. See, Belly, I've heard the hit or miss these. I don't like to say this because Bellwoods are like the fucking gods, but they've been extraordinarily hit or miss with their IPAs and all their hops in the last year or so.
Yeah. And look, I've been harsher on them lately, even than you have.
You're a savage.
It's.
I'm joking.
Yeah, look, it's I mean, like let's be real. They don't need my approval. they're doing okay. They're Bellwoods. Yeah, they'll be fine. But really, to be honest, though, it's just one of those things of like they used to be the gods of Ontario haze. It used to be the case that no one could do it like them.
Nobody.
And I say that with the utmost love. I really do. It's one of those things of like Witch Shark back in the day used to be something that you couldn't get anywhere else in the province.
It's impeccable.
And like a couple of and many others as well. I still to this day like have dreams about monogamy Idaho 7 hop hash. It's one of the most memorable IPAs I've ever had. Like how many times have I talked about it on either on the podcast or on the chin wags? I've lost count of the number of times I've mentioned it. It's just one of so nothing can take away from that.
No.
It really nothing can take away from that. But it's just one of those things of lately, in the past year to 2 years maybe, the IPAs have dropped off in quality. I really feel like they have. It's one of those things of they've been tasting boozier. They've been they have not had the same kind of smooth mouthfeel that I remember. A lot of them are kind of just tasting really heavy on citrus, and boozy. Not the smoothest mouthfeel, and even
Yo,
I just didn't have that.
You were breaking up so bad I didn't understand a word of that last little bit you said.
Where did you lose me? The last thing.
I think I'm losing you again. Are you there?
Fuck me.
Oh, hang on. Wait. I got you again. Or
You got me?
Yeah, I got you. It's a little like choppy, but I got you. Do you want to just repeat that last thing about? I think from the last meet that we began the last. Excuse me, sentence. This is fizzy.
So what I was saying with the monogamy double galaxy was one of the last ones that I had. I was saying a double IPA hopped exclusively with Galaxy. You're expecting something with some punch, and I just really didn't find that.
Yeah.
It was like I found it to be heavily muted, and and was just really not delivering.
No.
And I've unfortunately found that that's been a common trend with their with their IPAs of late. All of that said, I'm being a bit harsh. But all of that said, the Wild Ale game is not anything to scoff at. Like even just on the aroma alone, this one is very enticing.
Like the color, is just amazing. The head is crazy. It's tart. It's bright. There's tons of plum. Oh, my camera died. Let me just switch me out. I'll bring you back in there. I'm going to go a bit of webcam action. Hang on. Oh, you can still see the camera. There you go. Just like she said, the connection comes back when Nate swears, and it's amazing. It's like, oh, fuck me. And we're back. That's exactly what it is. One thing, honestly, though, I don't know why, I don't want to say it because you're so right. Bellwoods changed the game. They are the GOATs. They are the gods. They're impeccable, and we're great. We're lucky to have them in the scene. Their IPAs, for whatever the fuck reason, have been lackluster. My brother's been getting me the last, an IPA, APA, and a double IPA, all of them, I got every single thing recently that they're doing. He's just grabbing everything. And I've been able to try everything. And it's sort of, at best, it's 50-50. Sometimes when it hits, I'm like, oh, wow. If it's like a little bit above average, I'm like, whoa, that's all right. Okay, we'll see, because that's how it hasn't really hit. And I think they're just experimenting at the Adjunct brewery, and maybe they're just fucking around too much, and they're, maybe Luke's not involved as much as it used to be. But one thing they have never slacked on is any of their wild ales. All of their foeder stuff, their grisette, this Grandma's Boy series, Farmageddon, Motley Crue, their stouts, all from Hellwoods, Skeleton Key, what's the dead one? Bring out the dead, whatever.
Bring out your dead, yeah.
It's just insane. And this, I had the last of the 2021 as well with the Shiro Plums, and I was saying I think the other one's called Niagara Plums or something like that.
The other one they released this year was Prune Plums.
I just grabbed both. I was
so did I.
Yeah. Oh, did you already drink it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, which was better? Do you remember?
I mean, I would have a hard time saying one is better than the other. I think they were probably both equally good. I think I've got a sweet spot in my heart for this one. But they were both equally good. But yeah, like this one, it's got a subtle farmhouse funk to it.
Yep.
Which is just delightful with everything. It's tart. I was being a bit sarcastic before when I said it would rip the enamel off your teeth, but the thing is, it's intensely tart. It's intensely tart for sure, but it is not offensively tart. It's not as long as you're expecting it to be a bit tart, it's not going to be something that's that anyone would be offended by. Even though the flavors are quite powerful, it's still very complex, which is an impressive feat to pull off.
Big facts. Yeah, man, they just haven't even slacked. I don't think I've had any of their sort of barrel or food or stuff, and then even thought it was average. It's all been very good to exceptional.
Yep.
And
And the point that
it's not easy.
it's not easy at all. And like we've talked about before, Jutsu was a game-changing hazy pale ale in Ontario.
Fuck yes, it was.
It's the model for hazy pale ales in Ontario, I feel. Like
Facts.
it's one of those things of you probably wouldn't have Paper Salesman without Jutsu.
Big.
Would you agree?
100% agree. It was the first hazy. It was when I interviewed the Wild Shack, they're not together anymore. They were business partners. They were these home brewers who were collaborating with professional breweries, and we thought they were going to do open their own space. I never forget this. During the podcast, one of them was wearing a Bellwoods hoodie, and I was like, interesting. They're based here in Montreal. And then they had this cellar. They had like 10 beers that were worth $5,000 between them all. And we did when we first started our YouTube channel, this was early 2017, like January. And we did this episode called What's in My Cellar or something like that. It was just like one of our little old school segments. And we did that with them, and they had multiple shelves of Bellwoods. And I was like, why the fuck you got Bellwoods? That was the place that was around the corner from my old crib, and there was nothing spectacular about them at the time at all. And they were like, oh man, this shit is crazy. And they had Skeleton Key and all the barn owls and all that stuff. And at the time, I was starting to get pretty obsessed with haze because that was what was starting to pop off. And they were like, oh yeah, Jutsu was the haziest pale ale. I'm like, what? And literally later that month, I was in Toronto for a show. Tiff and I went at Mod Club on College Street, and it finished, and we were like, it's only like 11 o'clock. Let's grab a drink somewhere. And this was probably February, like the month after, whatever, or early January or February. And then we went, and we were driving down, and we were like, Bellwoods is just down there, so let's go. And we went to Bellwoods. I remember getting, look, to be fair, I had a weed cookie, so I was a little high, a little vibe. And I had Sea Star, which is one of their pale ales. I had Jutsu. There was one, and a couple other things. I think Paper Tiger for the first time, and something else. Maybe it was the Hop Hash Idaho 7 Monogamy. And I just remember just losing my fucking mind in a way I don't think I've ever lost my mind since over beer. I'm like, this is insane. And 2 months later, we had Luke on the podcast. Bellwoods changed the game, bro. They absolutely changed the game. They ran the scene. They were the first ones having their beers out in the States. They were the first ones rolling the dice and doing what the Americans were doing here in Canada, and particularly in Ontario. Everyone is inspired by them. The reverence that Bebo and Steve from Third Moon was talking about them when we did their first anniversary party, and he was so honored to have the collab with them was worthy of everything he said. Was that, and like, they're just god tier, man. That's why it's a little upsetting for us to have to say that their haze is taking a dip, and it's almost like it doesn't matter how much, I'm like, every time it comes up and Brad's like, oh, you want it? I'm like, yeah, just get me one. Just fucking do it. And I know I had last night I had their Belma. They did like a monogamy with Belma hops. That was great. That was pretty solid. So and I've still got one of I think a double IPA, from that series in the fridge now. And the other series as well, just to give more props, was the Stout with Coffee series. I haven't had a shit one. I have heard there's an Imperial one. I have heard that one is lackluster, and I have that one, but I haven't drank it yet.
That you probably heard from me. I just the only thing that I found that with that one, that it was just intensely sweet, and that just might be with with what my palate has been like lately. I can't handle sweet stouts anymore. Gotcha. It's I just find it way too much, and it feels like my teeth are rotting off, and I have a wicked hangover afterwards. So I can't really handle that. But put that aside, that might just be how my palate is going these days. But I will agree with you 100% that the series A Stout with Coffee is superb.
Insane.
It's it tastes like a fresh pulled espresso. It's
good.
Phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
And that just really goes to show, right? Like, I feel like that's where and it's interesting where they started off being Like, it's almost, it didn't matter what they did, they could do no wrong. But it really was started with their hops, with the haze, the pale ales, IPAs, double IPAs, was just fucking like A1, world class, god tier. And then, you know, things change over time. But at the very least, right now, even if that isn't where it needs to be, and it still could get back there, the wild ales and that stout series are just, you know, insane. I grabbed the Bring Out Your Dead. They did double barrel versions of some of them. Noah was saying like a cognac barrel, then a bourbon barrel, or something like that. And I know Noah had it, and he said it was insane. I haven't got to all that yet. I've got like the last three ones they've done. I just have to get to it. But now that's my Wednesday drinks, you know, slowly getting to them one at a time. But overall, though, like this is, I was really happy to say that you said that you had this one, which was dope, because I just needed an excuse to bust it out. Like, it's so
So this is a good excuse for it.
Oh,
and you mentioned Noah there. I'm thinking back to something that he said before, is that Jelly King is one of the models of dry hop sours, and like in Canada even.
big time. I think that it started the game, just like you said there. Would there be Paper Salesman without Jutsu? Would there be any dry hop sours without Jelly King? And I don't know.
Like some of the best stars in the country, I feel like are standing on the shoulders of Jelly King.
150%, and even more so the fact that they've had all of these fruited varieties over the years. And I don't recall one that was even average. Like, I really don't. Like, the shit.
I would agree with that.
Was so exceptional, and the fact now that they've gone from never being in the LCBO to having Jutsu, OG, Jelly King, I think Roman Candles in LCBO, raspberry, blackberry, Jelly King's in there, and all these different ones now, like, and they're just so consistent. They're just so, I think because their base is impenetrable, all you got to do is add the fruit, and the fruit is consistent, so don't fuck that up and you're good to go. And just all of their combos are just so insane. Like, Jelly King is just so crazy. Bellwoods definitely deserves their flowers, man. Like, they've really truly changed the game, and it's been cool to see them sort of evolve. And I understand, right? It's a business, and they needed to do their shit. And like, fuck it, let's get in the LCBO. Let's put these bad boys.
But you know what? Like, I don't think anyone can fault them for knowing how to run their business. Like,
not at all.
Like, holy shit. They're a model scenario for sure. And you know what? It occurred to me where we're talking about being harsh on their haze doubles. Like, it dovetails very, very nicely into our final topic,
yes,
which was. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
This is perfect.
Which is. Which the final thing that we want to talk about today was how to talk about beers that aren't good or beers that you don't like without being a dick about it.
And I feel like a lot of people out there on Instagram and Twitter need to really listen close, because the entitlement of some people in craft beer who have a fucking Instagram account is insane. They have no idea how to make beer, how to run a business, how hard it is to do what these people are doing, and the lack of consideration for just even thinking the fact that, hang on, my subjective ass palate doesn't like this. I should let the whole world know how shit this is. Yep. They don't even think that, like, maybe they don't know enough, or they don't appreciate it, or maybe it's better to shoot the brewery a message. Like, what are you trying to get out of this? It's an interesting topic, because it's something that, like, both of us, I don't know if passionate about it is the word, but, like, we feel strongly. We have strong feelings about the way that people handle things like this. Yeah,
and it's one of those things that like Noah, from beerism, I've always felt it has been the absolute model for how to handle situations like this.
Yes.
And we've talked about this before. And he's been writing about beer for so long and so eloquently that he's really developed just kind of like a very keen eye on these kinds of things, and also just a very respectful manner about how he approaches these kinds of things. But it's one of those things of he can manage to write about beer in a way that if there's flaws in it, he can say like he can say if there's flaws in a beer that that are worth mentioning, and and he can mention them publicly, and it's fine. It doesn't come off in a dickish way. It doesn't come off as overly critical. It's just as, here's something that I think is a bit of a miss, or something that I don't particularly like, but otherwise here's what's fine about it. And it's just one of those things that you can mention it while being respectful, and also just if and he said this before, if it's a beer that is just completely off and he thinks that there's a problem with, or he just doesn't enjoy it all, then there's not a point in talking to it, in talking about it. There may be some value in reaching out privately to the brewery to give them some feedback, but what benefit does it do to just say, I think this beer is shit. You fucked this one up. It's off style. Here's every off flavor I detected from it. What the fuck were you thinking releasing this? Blah 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 blah. And there's people there's people who think it's okay to go ahead and say things like that. And something that I want to make absolutely clear about this, because this is something that always comes up in this conversation about, is it okay to negatively review beer? The case that I am not making and will never make, I am not saying that drink the beer, if you enjoy it, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with any beer. You can't say anything bad about beer. I am not making that case.
Right.
I am not. I've never made that case. I will never make that case. There are bad beers. There are absolutely bad beers. Just because local craft beer does not mean good beer. There are absolutely bad local craft beers that shit happens. It's bound to happen. Yes. We can accept and agree on that. That does not mean, however, that there's any benefit in just saying that this beer is shit. Who benefits from that, really? It's does it really benefit anyone if I tell someone that I think brewery A down the road from me, if I think that this beer that they made is terrible? If I'm driving business away from them, I don't really see what benefit that does anyone. I can maybe say, here's what I think is off about this beer, but here's what else I think maybe this brewery does well, or here's kind of a sandwich approach to it, or at least a polite criticism of it, something like that. But just shitting on something just to keep this veil of objectivity is, I think, the pitfall that a lot of people on beer social media fall into, is that, well, where's your objectivity then? You don't have to say that something is shit, or you don't have to go to that length for the sake of objectivity. You can have objectivity without doing that. And there are plenty of good examples of that out there. Sorry, I feel like I've been rambling on for a while. I feel like you probably got something to say on this.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I feel like we see it a lot. And look, if you're one of those people who are out there shitting on breweries, best believe people are screenshotting that and sending it to their friends, because they're like, what the fuck is this person on about? It's not positive. And look, even particularly for people like us, it hits us a little harder because we're like this industry adjacent weird little beer media thing, which is even weird when you think about it. The craft beer has fucking media about it. It always still weirds me out that I'm sitting here talking to people that are making beer, and I bet that I always think about what they're thinking. They're like, fuck, man, these people want to talk to me. I make beer, who cares? But it's this thing. It's a thing. I didn't make it up. It's a thing. And I always, like, I feel like because we're not just social media-ing about beer for the sake of it. I was for years, and then we became this podcast. So were you, right? And then this podcast, and I imagine so was Noah and so was Chris. This podcast came about, still didn't take it seriously. Then all of a sudden breweries wanted to be on, and we had this ridiculous name. They're like, oh fuck, I guess we have to be serious. And I was still always cautious because I've always been like I've always had businesses and doing different things, and I've always been cautious of what I never was like a shit on. I'm not an aggressive, I want to fight you type of person. I'm not confrontational. And if I don't like something, I never felt the need to share it, to feel like my opinion's right. This is shit. I said it's shit, so you fucking need to know it's shit. So those people obviously exist, unfortunately, but the thing with you being a like Instagram casual to maybe more serious Instagram to now running a blog, and people sending you stuff and doing all these different things, you're taking that responsibility seriously. We take it seriously. I know Beerism does, and so does Hops and Bros. So we're all this weird little side fucking world. But when you start to, I think even before, I was about to say, we know the people. I look at this beer and I think of Luke or my friend Gord who works for Bellwoods, and like saying bad things about any of their stuff, even if I felt like that. It's got to be, not that everyone deserves undeserving praise. Like, it's got to be worthy, but it's got to be expressed adequately and reasonably. And like you sort of said, like, well, maybe this was just a small mistake in a series of wins. Why does this one beer define their whole brewery and things like that? I think people don't understand. They have to remember, a lot of the people who comment and talk like that, they've never owned anything. They've never ran a business. They've never built anything. Like, they wouldn't know the half of what it takes. Like, we don't have a break. We've been doing this shit full time for 6 years. I'm fucking exhausted beyond anything I could ever express. Like, I know what it takes to build stuff, and I would never shit on these people. We are nothing compared to these. These breweries are putting up $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million to build these fucking. I don't have that pressure in my life. Like, I've built something. But I couldn't imagine what that means, let alone trying to get this shit perfect. A fucking, what's the word again? The Spanish word. Solera style, food aged, and all of the variants that can come with a goddamn foeder. Beer when you're adding fruit to it and wild bacteria that you don't know how it's going to react, or you can predict but you don't know. Like, the fact that this exists is damn near a miracle. But everybody feels the need to criticize it. And the fact that, like, all right, cool, we maybe had some, like, oh, yeah, Bellwoods aren't quite what they used to be lately with their hops. Well, I mean, we're not the first to say it. We're, very cautious about saying that. But we're saying it with peace and love. Like, they are one of our favorite breweries. They mean a lot to both of us. They've impacted both of us in ways neither of us can probably adequately express. Yet, shit happens. It's a lot happening. Yeah. They're putting all of these SKUs in the LCBOs. They're growing as a business. This type of production is never flawless. It is what it is. It's okay. You iterate. You're going to hit some. You're going to miss some. It is what it is. You keep it moving. So, like, I just don't see the point. If anyone really thinks that your opinion is that important, look, even though we're beer media, we know we're just fucking dudes talking about beer. We're not cicerones. We're not brewery owners. We're not master brewers. We're not trained. We don't know anything. We're just stupid little people talking about beer on the internet, bro. I don't take this too seriously at all. I don't think we're more important than we are. And I understand that people might listen. Some people listen to what the fuck you and I say. So we need to be careful with that. And at the same token, we also need to be honest. And there's a fine line between being a prick and being just, like, constructively critical. That would
Agreed. And here's the thing with that. Like, you'll see from from certain people a lot, like, why are you so afraid to say that to say that a beer is bad? We've seen certain people keep on coming back to this fucking line a lot. Is it like, why are you so afraid to say that beer is bad? And there's kind of this idea floating around that people are afraid to say that beer is bad because they're going to stop the train of free beer.
I was about to bring that up.
I kind of think that, I honestly think that that this is a completely manufactured thing. Yeah. Not to not to say that there's not fuckwits about who are who are only in this game for free beer. Like, we've seen it happen.
Well, we know them.
And I know it's out there. But here's the thing on that: when you say things like, "Why are you so afraid to say bad things about beer?" When I look at the way that those people say bad things about beer, it's one of those things of, are you trying to be helpful, or are you just really trying to be edgy? And are you really trying to point out legitimate flaws in a proper context, or are you just trying to be negative to make a point? Are you really or are you just kind of trying to make a broader point about what you feel about certain styles? There's certain people who feel certain ways about about the popularity of haze, or the popularity of of hype styles and all this, and and how you get certain the criticism of that of that really, really heavily on on those certain styles. The thing that I often think about on that is, do you actually enjoy the beer that you like more than you enjoy hating on the things that you dislike about it? Because if you enjoy hating on the things that you dislike about it more than you actually enjoy beer, then you're doing nothing productive for this industry. You're doing nothing productive for this industry. And the challenge that I would put out to those people is, put aside the things that you hate. Put aside the things that you hate about haze, the things that you hate about whatever hype styles are out. Whatever style it is that you like, maybe it's lagers, maybe it's saisons, maybe it's West Coast IPAs. Write a review about one that you like without saying anything negative about another style. Write about a West Coast IPA without telling me why it's better than haze that you hate. If you can write something positive about your favorite saison, or about your favorite West Coast IPA, or your favorite pills, without saying anything negative about another style, then maybe I will believe that you're here to be positive about beer. But if you can't do that without slagging something that you claim to hate, then I think you're really more in this to just be critical of other people. You're just in this to dunk on what's popular, and in which case you're doing nothing productive. That's the challenge that I would put out to those people.
I'm just beaming. That is so beautifully said, bro. I don't know what to say. I was sitting there watching I was watching a movie or a play or something. I was like, this is gorgeous. Fucking preach, bro. Fucking preach.
Thanks, I'm glad you like that.
Oh, I liked it more than I can express. Thank you. I feel like that it was so needed to be said. There's so many people who aren't contributing, who pretend like they're actually doing something for this craft beer scene, who are just being negative for the sake of being negative, and the attention that generates. And the problem is, it's like those maybe kids who have been through some trauma or something, and they know that the only way to get attention from shitty parents is to act up. So they're acting the fuck up, and they're putting all this bullshit online to talk about something they supposedly love. And yeah, it's I don't know if you're going to understand this reference. Tiff just this is a very good prop. She's like, oh, you Poddin now. It's a Joe Budden reference. They say that joke because he's like, oh, we Poddin now. When shit what you just did. happens, we pardon. We fucking pardon, bro. This is what.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh, that's gonna be the. I'm gonna change the name of the episode. We pardon now. Fuck my life. But it's like man. You said it so well. It's something that you and I like. Obviously, people who do this generally know who they are because it's a very conscious thing that they're doing. They're not. I don't think there's anybody who is behaving like this and participating in the industry like this who isn't aware of the implications of their behavior and what that means.
Yeah.
Something that you brought up earlier, I want to just bring, because I think it's really funny and it's become an in-joke between all of us, is free beer and being a shill. I have been accused of both. Do I get free beer? Fuck yes. I have more beer than anyone could possibly ever drink. Did I ask for it? Fuck no. The shit just happened because we built a fucking platform that people listen to and watch, right? Now,
yeah, man. Like no one's making the kind of content that you guys make. No one knows the amount of effort that goes into creating creating the videos that you guys make. The production value, the editing, the lighting, the equipment, all of the shit that goes into that.
My brother has 20 years experience mixing and mastering, and he's doing this shit like as a part of the team. Like there's all of this stuff in here, and this isn't a joke. It's a part-time job. We run an agency with extremely large clients. Like Facebook is our fucking client. Facebook is paying this little agency to run their shit, bro. This is not a joke. Like there's a lot of things happening. BAOS takes up a significant portion of my time. I take this very seriously.
It's a labor of love.
It really is. And we're trying to make it work and make sure that when there's money coming in, it's spread around and that we're trying to turn it into a business, because that's the point. People always forget that beer is a business. The people who Bellwoods are a business. That's why they're in the LCBO. That's why they're doing that. Maybe that comes at a cost, and maybe that means that some of their stuff isn't what it used to be, but they might get it back, and that's okay because it's a part of scaling as a business, and people don't understand this shit. The amount of work it takes to do all this stuff, like I'm not worried about people not sending beer because I don't see that ending, and I also don't care. It's not why I'm fucking doing this. Does that keep my lights on? Does giving me fucking a 6-pack pay the rent? No, it doesn't. So, like, you kind of said it before, like, if I don't like something, do you know what I'll do? And do you know what Nate will do? And do you know what Noah from Beerism and Chris from Hops and Bros will do? We won't fucking post about it. We won't do it because we're going to shoot a message to that brewer and be like, hey man, this isn't it. I didn't like it. Or I think this has flaws in it and I think it's probably better that I don't post about it. And I think, and 9 times out of 10, they're like, thanks man, no problem. That's crazy. Let me look into it. Boom, boom. That's positive. Yeah.
Yeah. Or or there's ways that you can write, there's ways that you can talk about beers that you that you think are a bit flawed, and you can even say some things publicly if it's in a way that's productive.
And that's really what it is. Yes. A great example, this Chronicle beer. I didn't think it was fantastic, but I think it's probably just old. And I'm going to comment that I think that it's still a great beer, and I love the guys behind it, and I love their beer, and I think that their shit is fucking fire. And I think that might just be a little bit old and it's a bit muted. Was it shit? Hell no.
And how did we? Yeah, but how did we talk about it though? We talked about it in the broader context of what we know they're capable of from other beers that you've had from them that that you thought are better. So you know what? That's good and productive. It's it's good feedback.
Exactly. And Steve is saying, he said exactly 100%. Shouts to you, Steve. Thank you, bro.
Southern Ontario Beer Boys in the house, right on.
Oh, Steve. That's Steve. Oh, you fucking champion.
Yeah, that's Steve.
Man. Yeah, okay, champion. Like he gets it, and that's what it is, right? There's no point. Like maybe this beer is a little old. That's all. Maybe this beer, fresh as fuck, would have been bright and tropical, would have punched us in the face, and that's what it is. But I know that Chronicle's other beer is like that, so therefore this beer, because there's a fine line between saying this is fucking terrible to being like mildly constructively critical. And there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. Say for me, I think it was a bit muted. I think it was a little bit old, but I can only imagine when this was fresh with the hop bill on this one. I think it was Mosaic and Eldorado and some shit. It would have punched you in the face and it would have been amazing. That's how you handle it. Now people call you a shill. Someone called me a shill because they want the free beer train. I just like a shill is someone who is paid to kind of lie about stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, we have been paid by brands multiple times. Obviously, Liquid Happiness, Tiff's thing, our producer. She's had so many paid campaigns lately. We had to make a calendar where we've had like 3 deadlines in one day.
Yep.
Is it a shill? Are you going to your job every day? Are you a shill? Like, anything exchanging for money, people don't understand that this shit is a fucking business, and I can't stand it, bro. Like, the lack of understanding. Look, to be honest, and also we're getting mad at maybe 1 to 2 people who have said stuff. Obviously, there's only a couple of fuckwits. Most people understand this shit. But, like, those small lack of understanding is quite frustrating for folks on that. So it's like, there's not enough money moving here to call anybody a shill in craft beer, honestly. Like, and no one's going to kiss ass just for free beer. The difference is how you handle it, and you can be respectful and of the people behind the beer. And the thing is, once again, we're not, and this is not denigrating, we're not just an Instagrammer who's just sometimes getting beer. Like, we interview these people, we sit down with them, we go to their breweries, or we know them. Some of them become personal friends. Like, we know these people. Yeah, man. I can't, like, honestly shit on someone's stuff if I know them. I look them in the eye, I go to their place, they treat me like gold, and I'm going to shit on their stuff. How, like, you're not going to do that. Like, you're just not going to. But am I going to constructively criticize it in a little review? Of course. Or if I'm going to post it on BAOS, I don't do deep reviews when I post on BAOS. You do much deeper reviews when you post on Nathan Does Beer or on the BAOS blog. But you're always very constructive. I edit everything you post on BAOS. We talk about it together. It's you and me. We're a partnership with this stuff. And
yeah, man.
Every time you criticize something, the way you do it is so respectful. And if something was that bad, you would go to the person, you'd be like, man, I can't talk about this. And we've had this conversation. You and me have had this convo because it's come up. And it's so key, you know?
And you know what? Like, with any of the times that I have posted anything negatively, and like, it's one of those things of when I do it, I'm so neurotic about it when I do, because it's so often those cases of, like, I know the people that are behind making these beers. Like I've met them, I've spoken to them, like I've patronized their business. It's so hard to say to say anything negative about the product, but I've never had bad feedback from them. Like, they've never been insulted by it. They've never taken it the wrong way. It's always been good. They've appreciated honest feedback. But, like, the key is there's no reason to be a dick about it. Like, there's nothing to gain from it. And Noah has brought this up before in conversations with about this, is that, like, doing it to be edgy is nothing, and it's very obvious when people are just doing it to be edgy. Like, don't tell me that you're in here to provide honest feedback to better the industry. That's bullshit. It's such a fucking lie that that people are telling themselves. And when you're if you're comparing it to these people who you're claiming to be shills, such a small fraction of the beer population, that it's creating this lie about how people ought to be when they're talking about beer.
Well said, man. And there's a great thing you bring up Noah, because there's even one recently that just comes to mind as soon as you said that. Noah and I both received a generous box from this brewery. I won't name them. And I cracked some of the beers. I'm like, oh, these all seem to be, like, oxidized. This is weird. And then he cracked them. Like, fuck, mine are oxidized too. He even went and bought one of that same beer to check it. And he said it was the same. They were, so we messaged them. And we let them know. We were like, hey, man, we can't talk about any of this. This is fun. Like, I literally drained 12 beers from this brewery, who was one of my favorites in Canada too, by the way. And we messaged, we told them. They were like, oh, fuck, what the hell's happened? To be honest, we haven't heard from them since. But, like, I hope that was the way to handle it, because neither of us could honestly post about it and say anything nice, because
Oh yeah, because you don't want to be disingenuous about it, right?
And exactly, and the beer would be brown, damn near. So like their beer would look gross. It would make their brand look gross. The last thing I would want to do is use our platform to make a brewery look bad ever, because that's not the point. We're celebrating breweries here. I would rather be like, hey, these weren't, something was wrong, and it was just like it must have been a production error or something. I don't know what it was, but they were all bad, every single one.
Well, that shit happens, right? And the appearance is such a big thing of it when from your and my end of things, when visual effect, when photography is such a big part of it, if a beer is heavily oxidized and it's kind of and it's coming out like a thick murky brown, you can't hide that. Everyone knows that's not right.
No, exactly, and they would want that. So I hope that these guys haven't disappeared on us because they were mad about the feedback. It's like I'm just sort of thinking out loud, but I feel like we did the right thing though by telling them that that's what happened with this one, and then hopefully they can figure out wherever that problem is, and then it won't repeat again, and everyone's happy. What? Otherwise, I'm going to sit here and be like, they're so pathetic. They can't even get their production right to not be oxidized. Like that's what these other people we're talking about are doing, and it's like, it's not helpful.
Well, you see that shit all the time. And what does that help?
It doesn't help.
What does that help? Like that doesn't help anyone get their processes right. It just makes people think that a brewery is shit.
Mm-hmm. And particularly when you know that it's not, and it's small batch, and things can go wrong, and it's a part of the game, and it's okay. So you let them know on the DM. They are going to be so appreciative. They'll probably hook you up. If someone buys a 4-pack or whatever, they get one bad beer, often breweries will go send you a whole nother 4-pack. They're extremely generous. They usually will. Because they want to keep their customers. They want to make sure people are happy, and they also appreciate when people do it. So even if you're not an Instagrammer in that way or whatever it is, and you're trying to review beers and stuff, there's no need. Just don't shit on anybody. There's just no need. Message the brewery. Just hit them up. There's something wrong. Or if you think that maybe your palate's not good. Sometimes I think my palate happens to all of us. Sometimes we have bad days. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I've had podcasts where I'm like, every single beer tasted like shit to me, but I know it wasn't bad. And I know that was me. And I might have just been having a bad palate day for whatever.
Sometimes you have an off day.
And sometimes you have an off day.
We should look at Steve's comment here. We said, we firmly believe that the platforms that we have, that people actually read and listen to what you say about a beer, want to hear about why a beer is good or great, not why it is not why it is poor. Take that discussion offline if you must. It's someone's life dream to brew beer, so you're trashing it will hurt them more than you think. Don't like it, don't post it. That's a great point, man.
I don't get this.
Don't be the Damien Cox of Toronto sports. Sorry, man, I don't understand that reference.
Yeah, neither do I. And there's another one. Keep going.
A local in our area had the oxidized issue last summer, but they went from bottling 20% of their beer to 90% of their beer because of COVID. It happens, but they are a high-quality brewery that we would not put out socially these issues to trash them.
Yep, couldn't agree more with everything. That's really it, man. Like, shit happens. We're going through a global pandemic, particularly now. I guess we're talking historically too, but like even in the last year to more than that, breweries are going through it. A lot of them didn't have bottling or canning facility, and all of a sudden they went from, exactly like you said, maybe 20% of their beer was packaged to now everything. And Steve isn't in Toronto or he's outside of it, so maybe the restrictions were different. But a lot
he's
of
breweries, in the GTA. He's in like Burlington, Hamilton area.
Right. But still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the restrictions out there were a little different to Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe some things were more open. But the point being, some breweries went from literally just a brew pub to like, oh fuck, we have to get a canning machine. What do we do? And of course there's going to be teething problems because they're getting mobile canning or they're buying a canning machine and all these different things. And it's a lot for people to manage, and maybe they have some inventory and they're like, oh fuck, I've got like 70 kegs. Now we have to put these kegs into crowlers or run it through the candy machine to put it into that. There's just so many things that they have to do, and I feel like if you are confident enough to talk about beer on social media that you know enough about it, like shitting on breweries is not under any circumstances an answer or acceptable. Exactly what Steve said. Go to the DM. There's no need to do any of that stuff. You're not a hero. And also, Nate, even more what you said, like you were just preaching before, but if you, like you're a Saison man and you don't love fucking haze, well, good for you. Let everyone enjoy the fucking haze. Shut the motherfucker up. And you know who you are if you're doing that stuff, because there's a lot of people who do it.
It's one of those things of you could attract more people to Saisons and lagers if you just talk about how great they are. But if you can only do that while also shitting on haze, I don't feel like you're going to change any minds with that.
No, sir. And that's you know what's the saying? You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And
yeah, it's a cliche saying, but it's true.
I mean, exactly. You're not going to. Like, how is anybody going to be attracted to what you're saying when all you're doing is shitting on what they like? If you're telling me how bad
and they're only the only people that you're going to attract are other assholes who are also mad at the same thing that you're mad at.
Oh, there's a bunch of those. Even Steve saying Team Lactose all day.
Team Lactose, motherfucking right.
All fucking day. Even though we don't
Southern
really care
Ontario,
anymore.
Southern Ontario beer boys, Team Lactose, love you guys. Like the other thing I'll mention on this is, like, look, there are bad breweries, there are bad beers. Like we all know it. Like no one is saying that all beers are good, and anyone who is saying that is lying. In any product, in any industry, there will always be people who make a bad version of that product. That does not mean, as like you said very well, Craig, that like you're not a hero for saying that something's bad. There's nothing to be gained in the industry from being edgy by calling out publicly that you're not a hero.
I agree.
Like there will be bad products. And like you are not going to make those go away by being a dick about it.
100%. It's just not why we're all here. Like, we're not here to shit on beers. We're also not here to kiss ass on mediocrity either, because I have a big problem with that.
No.
And I'm not going to lie, you and I have conversations about people who are kissing ass for extreme mediocrity. At the same
Absolutely.
token,
Absolutely.
some of those breweries are catering to people at certain levels in their palate, and if some people enjoy them, then who are we to shit on it? But you never see Nathan Does Beer or BAOS podcast shit on any of those breweries or those people. I understand.
Because like you know what? It's because I don't care. I don't care. If it's one of those things of if there's a big brewery that's making shit that is not really my jam, but if other people are enjoying it, like, what does it hurt? It doesn't hurt anything. Should I tell them that they're wrong for enjoying it? No. Like what does that gain? Like, you know, the business is making beer. It might not be my cup of tea, but if 5 other people are really just having a blast on it, then like, what's the harm? There's no harm. There's no harm. Like, people are enjoying beer and people are getting paid for making beer. Like, it's a good thing.
That's it, man. And that's what we're here to promote. And if we're not into it, we just won't talk about it, and we just let people enjoy their shit. You know,
it's fine. It's fine.
It's such an interesting thing that people have this urge to shit on what everybody else is into, or stick their kind of nose into all of that. Now, you can have an opinion. We're never saying don't have an opinion, because obviously, even if we're not sticking our nose into it, we're human. We're going to have an opinion. But you know what we do? We keep it to ourselves, or we send a text to our friend, and then we can talk our shit. And then that's it. And then you get over it and you move the fuck on. And the problem is that people always forget there's a DM option. People always tweet something or post publicly when you should probably just send a text and get that off your chest. You know?
And most importantly is that whatever corner of the business that you're in is that there are humans behind like behind every aspect of this industry. Like, even if it's a beer that you think is shit, the beer might actually be shit, but that's still a real human who like who's made it, and you're doing no favors to anyone by like by just announcing publicly that you think it's garbage. It's a human being that that made that, and they might be struggling. They've got a small business. They're probably working very, very hard to make that product the best they can be. Not everyone in this business is is the best. That's true of any business in any industry, but human beings behind it still.
That's what people need to remember, and I think it's sort of so easy to not even think about that if you're just consuming and not really visiting. If you go to the brewery, it's highly likely you're going to be able to speak to someone, whether it's the person who's making it, the people who own it and bankrolling it, whose life it literally is on the line if this shit doesn't work. Particularly during the pandemic, once again, it's brick and mortar business. These places are worth $1 million plus. You can't just do it with one person. You need a team of employees. There's a lot of expenses that go into making this goddamn stuff, and there's not a lot of fucking profit margin on craft beer. No one's sitting there wearing diamond necklaces and driving Rolls Royces on craft beer, bro. It's not that kind of business. Even if
it's one of those things of like, this bottle might cost $18, but how long did this have to spend in the foeder? How long did this have to spend in a barrel? How many ingredients had to? Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't even look because I was happy to pay for it because I knew it was going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. But like, the ingredients that went into this, like the plums that went into this, the amount of time that this had to spend in the foeders, the amount, the cost of every single ingredient that went into this. It's not it's not a cheap product to make, man.
And when you said about the plums, like, I don't know if y'all follow them on social, but if you follow like Barncat or Bellwoods or whatever, if they're making this beer, there is like 10 people sitting there getting a plum, twisting it, taking out the pit, putting it in the basket, twisting it.
Man.
That shit takes 8 hours to get enough plums for this type of beer. Like, it's not a joke. These are local fruit coming from Niagara to Toronto to make this beer. Like, the shit is very, very serious. And I hope, I mean, look, I imagine that people who are doing this type of stuff probably aren't watching or listening, but like, I really hope that at least maybe if there's some folks who are on social and they talk about beer and they're passionate about it and stuff, that they, if they get something they don't like, they think twice about, really going and shitting on a brewery. And if they don't like it and they think there's actually something wrong with it, they should just message the brewery. Now, if you don't like it, part of the game. Sometimes you get a beer and you spend good money on it and you're like, fuck, this isn't for me. You know what? If you're a wino, the wine, you're going to look at a minimum starting point at $20 and you bought the 750 mil bottle of wine, you're like, oh fuck, this is trash. You could get in the beer game for $2.50 to $3, and you might spend $2, $3, and you're like, oh, this beer is trash, I don't like this at all. Oh well, next one. And you're not really losing too much. So understand the concept. What if you're in the liquor game? You're spending craft liquor, bro, you're not spending less than $40, $50 a bottle. If you don't like that shit, good luck.
You're shit out of luck sometimes.
It's part of the game, man. It's just part of the game.
Sometimes that's just shit luck. And the important thing to keep in mind is that almost anyone who spent any amount of time in craft beer social media probably knows someone who either works in a brewery or is a brewer or is a part owner, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know someone in that end of it, and you'd probably think to yourself, would I publicly trash a beer from this brewery? So just think about that with any single brewery that you ever post about. just remember that someone has that connection with someone from with someone from those breweries. If you wouldn't do that with someone who you know, why would you do that with with someone that with someone's product that you don't? If you wouldn't do that for a closest friend of yours if they were part of that business, why would you do that from another business who you don't know that person from? It could very easily be a person from that other business.
Big facts. And I really hope people do remember that, because it's a genuinely important thing to keep in mind. And more than ever in this last year, when we've seen the fragility of society, of business, of, you know, the economy, of how quickly things can fall apart, and how valued a craft brewery is as a part of our society. We're very fortunate that hardly any, if any, went under, because their communities stood up and took care of them and supported. And craft breweries have become a fabric of society. Anyway, you're sort of talking about
100%.
So making sure that they are okay has seemed to become a priority for a lot of people, and I love it and I respect that. So, you know, they're gonna fuck up. It's part of the game. Our faves fuck up. I've had beers from the Veil or Trillium that weren't that great. It's okay. It's part of it. Sometimes you get that. You're like, oh, fuck, I got a 4-pack of this. Damn. Well, that's unfortunate. But it is what it is. It's $20. It's $30. It's not like the end of the world. Like, you know, some of the people are buying $50, $100 bottles of wine and it's trash. Or they don't,
Yep.
Not that it's trash, I'm sorry, that they don't like it. So,
Yeah.
you know, in beer, we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate that the actual expenditure of the consumer isn't that huge to try, and you're rolling the dice. And even better, if you go to the brewery, they'll give you a taste. Well, now that you can go in there, you get a taster of anything you want before you buy it. They go, let me try this, let me try this. They'll fucking leave you taste it. Some of them will probably even crack a can or a bottle so you can taste it before you buy it. And
Yep.
you know, you can see if you like it. So just, you know, I hope people like took what we've been saying and sort of can apply it to themselves. Just really, really think before you know, you say anything negative. It just doesn't contribute. We're only here. We, all of us, exist to uplift craft beer, to promote it, to help it win. That is the job of this sort of like peripheral industries on the side of craft beer, whether it's media or anything else. That's what we're trying to do, you know, with little reward, like you said. It's mostly a passion project. There's a little bit of cash in it here and there, but not a lot. Not the amount that makes up for how long it takes to do this shit, and for the team behind it, for how long, Nate, you spend writing a blog, and how long Brad spends editing and mixing the episode, and how long I spend on camera preparing beforehand. Then as soon as it goes at 1 o'clock on a Friday night, I'm shooting my second music video tomorrow for my album, which I have not got my outfits for, nor have I cleaned all my shit for, but I got to go prepare the thumbnail and go send off the audio to Brad and then do all this stuff. You know, it's a
labor of love, man. It's a labor of love. Man.
People don't know what it takes. So I hope maybe that this sort of, like, we've been pretty forthright tonight across the board for the whole 3.5 hours here of just letting people know sort of what it's like. I hope that's been valuable. I'd love to hear what anyone thinks of all this. But oh, here we go. Steve was saying, craft beer family is real family. Real family doesn't shit on family. That's it. And that's really what it comes down to, man. Just respect. It's just respect. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, man. It's not difficult.
It really isn't. This has been we should definitely, as soon as we come back from all of this, we should. I'm looking forward to making some changes for BAOS and doing this type of thing more often, where it's me and you, or me, you and Noah and Chris, or whatever. Some just like, or me and Tiff, or whatever. Just sort of like this immediate crew that appears regularly. Matt from Vox and Hops as well. You know, Notion, my brother out in Toronto, who's a part of the podcast, and just having the squad just like shoot the shit. There's something about these conversations. These things that we talked about tonight don't get talked about enough, and I want to make sure they have a stronger place on the platform. So I want to balance out the interviews with.
There's definitely a lot more deep dives that can be that can kind of be explored in these topics.
I'm extraordinarily interested in doing that. And even you and I, we have two different whole seasons of the podcast that you're directly involved with co-hosting. The first one we already have planned out, another one we have an idea for and stuff. So there's a lot of different things I want to be doing moving forward, and I've enjoyed this whole quarantine edition of the Adjunct series. And the Adjunct series, I guess, will take a different vein moving forward, because maybe it won't be quarantine anymore. It'll just be regular Adjunct series, and we probably, like I said, won't really be doing the lives. I do enjoy the lives, but I don't know if there's as many benefits unless people really tell us that they love it. But no, man, this has been really great, and I really appreciate just hanging out. I know you were only here last week. We hung out with Farabos and Laura from Bicycle, and that was a dope conversation. It's cool to be able to just like, let it chill a little bit and be a little more honest and just talk about stuff that you wouldn't be able to when you have an interview.
Well, you know what? I don't think there's any reason you can't have both of those. This is part of the beauty of of this platform, is that like you can kind of really intersperse these kinds of different conversations. Like you've like the brewery interviews, I think, will be never ending, and you can continue to have those conversations with the people who make this product. That is the entire reason that we're doing this. There'll never be any end to that, and you can keep on kind of doing them as you as they come up, and you can kind of pick and choose when you want to have those in with who, and then interspersed among that, you can also have all of these more focused discussions on on all of these topics. Like, this is the beauty of this platform, is that I think you can really have as much as you want of either side of it.
You're so right. And I realized that I think it's equally as important to have these conversations. I think I got a little caught up in the interviews because I'm talking to people and I'm like, yo, we should have you on. And then these type of things kind of get pushed to the wayside. And I'd like to definitely make this more of a priority from the fall onwards and stuff after the summer. Kind of like, people are distracted and maybe they're not traveling like normal, but people are going to be busy and doing their thing. And we've dropped so much fucking content. I kind of also want to give people a bit of a chance to catch up a bit. And, particularly with 2 to 3 hour podcasts a week, it's a lot of stuff for people to listen to, particularly when a lot of folks aren't commuting as well and they have that that time to listen, So I want to give people a bit of a break, bit of a breather, do a different series, and then come back in September or whatever it is with a newfound energy and sort of balance between, this type of stuff with this handful of rotating co-hosts, which I love the idea of. Like, that's exciting for me because me and you, then me and Noah, me and Brad, me and fucking Chris, me and Tiff, me and Maddie. And maybe let's have 3 of us, let's have 4 of us in, and just all like.
Why not?
I just feel like that might be what people would appreciate, and then intersperse in some, sprinkle in some podcasts, whether it's me, you, and just like you've been a great co-host, and Noah's been a great co-host, and Brad's been co-hosting the Toronto ones with me and stuff, and I'm enjoying that as well because the perspective of all of you guys in your respective lanes from the different regions. Like, stuff about bicycle, you knew stuff about bicycle that I knew I wouldn't be able to ask, and it's perfect. So it's like, basically we have a carte blanche to do whatever we want to do moving forward, like you said. So, look, I'm excited for the future. I think it's just been a fun run doing like the quarantine. Like I said, last one next Thursday, not even Friday, just Thursday. Like I had them on Thursday. The Friday one fell through, which was one for you and me for Ottawa, which was unfortunate. But man,
it's okay, man. We'll pick both of those up in the fall. I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm actually excited to see what we can change, and I think that the best part about all of this is the shake-up. I feel like the one thing that's the problem with life is sometimes you get a little too complacent and a little too like on cruise control, and you don't think about what you're doing. And I think it's really cool.
I agree.
Particularly for these long-form content, like we were saying, that you have a lot of effort, a lot of time, energy into. If we're switching it up and keeping it interesting, I hope it will make this podcast more valuable, because now tonight we touched on 4 really important topics to us that we thought about and we talked about, shot back and forth until we figured out what we wanted to talk about beforehand, and we planned this. This wasn't just like a random see where it goes, because we could do that, but I feel like that's lazy. So we thought about it and we hit all the marks. So I enjoyed this thoroughly. I knew it was going to be sick. I've been looking forward to this all week, man. So I appreciate you. You're the fucking best. My man, where can everybody find you online?
All right. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, it's at NathanDoesBeer. And
Right.
of course, on the BAOS podcast blog, that's where that's where I do my longest form content.
Ooh, yeah.
It's been a lot of review pieces recently. I'm looking to get back on the on the long form think pieces. They're coming up very soon, so do keep an eye out for that. All of my blog content, quick link is nathandoesbeer.com, and you can of course find me here on the BAOS on the BAOS podcast as occasional co-host, which it's a goddamn pleasure to be here. I fucking love you and I miss you, man.
Love you and miss you, bro. I hope we can actually hang out at some point, even if it's casually outdoors, reasonable, like to grab
Whatever it has to be.
Whatever it has to be.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I'm looking forward to it. I want to make this something that, your contribution and your part of BOS, like I've told you a million times privately, it's so valued, man. I love you. You're such a fucking sick cunt, and I appreciate you. Wow, I said the naughty word. But like I feel like we have, I want to make sure more of this happens moving forward on BOS. I'm excited. Stick around, we'll wrap up after. But guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell, say it, Nate.
Ding.
So you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio. We are back. Well, I shouldn't even say when we are back. We are going to be back at 9 p.m. Eastern next Thursday. I can't remember the date. And after that, stay tuned to our social. We'll let you know whenever we're going live. But make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. We're everywhere. Steve is saying, see you at Collective. Oh, hang on. Where is it? Oh, I'm seeing it on the screen before it hits here. See you at Collective Arts Fest 2022. Man, I'd love to if it happens. That was one of my faves. It was actually like this week just passed when we were there in 2019.
Yeah.
If you recall, that was a fun day. I think it was like yesterday or the day before. Yeah, man, I've been to all the Collective Arts Fest so far. All 2 of them, 3 of them, whatever there was. But yeah, man, hopefully we'll be there. Looking forward to the world getting back to normal a bit, and we can maybe hug. Maybe not share beer glasses, but maybe we can kind of hug. We'll get there.
I miss all of you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible in person, in the coming couple of years soon.
Yes,
God, I miss everyone.
It's so fucked up that you're so right that in the coming couple of years, because you're not wrong, because that's really what it is.
It's gonna take a while, man. It's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take a while, and I hope whatever, man. I'm patient. You're patient. We'll make sure it works.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, late night. Appreciate you, bro. Steve, thank you for tuning in. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Genuinely appreciate y'all. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Nate, thanks again. We'll see y'all then. Where the fuck's the button?
Cheers.
Peace.